Hello, gamers from around the world. This is Boxenberger, the video game enthusiast from Germany, and I would like to welcome you to the world of gaming. We are back, but with a different panel than usual because our brother Wandering Dutch is busy with family stuff, and so I threw out the bat signal, and Math immediately answered and. He is joining us now today, and I can't wait because it's going to be an awesome show. So, Math, welcome.
Yo, what's up, man? This is awesome to be here. I've wanted to be back here for a while. It just didn't work out with schedules.
Yeah.
And you know what? Lucky me, Dutch is busy. So, and it works out today. I get to fill in, and it'll be hopefully a fun show for everybody. We were having a great conversation behind the scenes. And if that's anything to base the show's gonna be like, it's gonna be a lot of fun, bro.
Oh yeah, absolutely, it will be. We have a lot of cool topics to talk about. So Thanaros in the chat already says that Dutch is looking a little different today, and
I shaved.
Yeah,
I shaved. Everybody, it's me, Wandering Dutch. I shaved my beard.
So that is what your British accent sounds like.
Is it?
I don't know.
Is it British? I don't know what it is.
All right, guys. So, but let me also welcome everyone in the chat. We see already a lot of familiar names here. Welcome to you, and of course, welcome to everyone who listens after the fact, either here on YouTube or on the podcast services around the globe, on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and we have this one constant listener on Amazon Prime Music. So shout out to that guy. Mav, are your shows on Amazon Music?
The funny thing is I actually did put one of them on there a long time ago, and I've never went back and checked on it. So
okay.
I think it might be.
Okay.
But I gotta double check. But I've been in this doing some things behind the scenes, so it's kind of interrupted some of my audio stuff recently. But all the shows are going back on audio. Should be this week.
Sweet.
So looking forward to doing that. But yeah, Spotify, Apple Podcast, all the normal places.
Yes, that's sure. Yeah, we have put it on Amazon Music, and it's like we have only one guy listening there. But
yeah,
it's.
I just forgot about it until you mentioned it. I forgot about Amazon stuff. But like I remember when it first came out, like they were invited to put it on or whatever, and we did. And I just never
checked.
I know the first one went on there because I tested it, but like I never went back and looked. So maybe I need to go look. I don't know.
Yeah. All right, that's about the podcast services. So let's get into some actual topics. Mav, what has kept you busy in gaming? What have you been playing, man?
There's only one thing. Been keeping me busy.
Let me put on some footage of that beautiful game.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see on the screen there. I've been playing that game that's right there on that screen. I've been playing it on my PC and on the TV there. I've been in gaming heaven playing Starfield, bro. Dream game for me. It lived up to all my expectations, and I just can't get enough of it. The funny thing is, I wasn't expecting my wife to get into it as much as she did. Like, I didn't even expect her to really try it, but she did, and she's hooked. She has more hours in it than I do.
That's awesome, man.
And
it's
awesome. It's insane. She's like,
it is.
She's a hoarder. You know, she has stuff all over the place. Like in her ship, there's just pots and pans everywhere and stuff like that. She's got stuff laying all around her house. There's like a room just full of rocks, and there's like another room that has just like tons of weapons on the floor and all this stuff. And she's trying to organize it all now. So that's kind of what she's been up to.
So that's how you can spend your time in Starfield. But it is it is such a fantastic game. You know, when it came out, when it launched, we were still in Italy camping. That's, by the way, the reason why we haven't been doing a show for the last 2 weeks. And so I had to start it on the Ally, and it was the most awesome story ever. Like literally a day before it came out, they they brought out a driver update that is required to play Starfield on the Ally.
Yeah.
So an AMD driver suit update, and it was only 2 gigs, and we didn't have Wi-Fi at the camping site, so I had enough mobile data volume to download the 2 gigs through a hotspot thing, and then they required me to download the entire game again, the 120 gigs, and there's no way you can do that with mobile reception and data volumes and such shit. And I was like really pissed as hell. Like I got up at the camping site early that morning, was excited to play Starfield, and I hit 122 gigs on the Ally. And I went like to the next village, to the bakery to get, like breakfast stuff. And I went in there, and this is no joke. Like the guy working there was like yelling at his Ally. So for fuck's sake, Starfield won't work. And I was like, dude, I have the same thing. You need to download the game. No, I downloaded the game, blah, blah, blah. And it turns out he didn't download the driver. So because the Ally doesn't tell you that there is an update. So no one knows unless you check the websites.
Yeah, that's one thing about PC gaming.
Yeah, it is
drivers.
And then he was like super happy it worked, and he also had to re-download. And I told him about my predicament with the thing, and he was like, "Just dude, bring the Ally over, and we download it here on my Wi-Fi." And so I went back to the camping site, got my Ally, went to the bakery, downloaded the 120 gigs there, and then I was able to play it. It was like, man, and it is a phenomenal game. But it is even better on the big screen, of course. And
yeah, for sure. There's so many like. Is it hard to play on a small screen, like with all the little things to pick up and stuff?
No,
or does it work pretty well?
It works really well. It runs like at medium to low settings on the Ally at 1080p with very consistent frame rate. The screen is big enough. You can adjust like the font sizes and everything.
Right.
To make it better readable and everything, and it plays really, really good on the Ally. Absolutely no problem.
Did you have a Steam Deck?
No, I did not.
Okay.
Good friend of mine has one, so I've been playing on his a little, and the Ally is definitely the device to go for, but it is also almost double the price. So
right. I had a Steam Deck, but like. The native, like, there's not a great native Xbox experience on there. Like, you can do the, workarounds and get cloud gaming up on it and stuff like that. But the issue I had with the Steam Deck was when I did that and I was using it for Game Pass was the cloud or the Wi-Fi connection on the Steam Deck wasn't as good as my phone. So I was actually having a better experience. Like in bed is where I would normally play handheld gaming, right? And I was having a better experience on my phone with a Razer Kishi than I was on my Steam Deck doing the same thing. So eventually I just got rid of the Steam Deck. Steam Deck was good. I liked it for native games and stuff. It's not where most of my library is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think maybe the Ally would be better, but man, $800, dude.
It is a hard ask. It is a fantastic device. It has its little, issues. The battery life really isn't good. And actually that doesn't bother me that much because, power banks. But what I didn't know is that you need a power bank that supports at least 65 watts. Otherwise it won't charge. So I had to get a different power bank for it. And it's stuff like that. And then of course it runs Windows, and you have to deal with all the Windows pain, all the constant updates and the driver things. But other than that, I love it. Man, the sound, by the way, on this device is amazing. You have never heard such a great quality coming out of a mobile speaker. Like I don't know how they do it, but they have these 2 front blasting speakers, and they really can generate a fantastic 3D audio effect, almost like Atmos. You can really hear things shooting around you and everything on a mobile device, and it is I love it. Man, it's fantastic.
It's crazy.
Yeah. But coming back to Starfield, man. So you've been enjoying it, obviously. Tell us a little bit about your experience with the game. What do you think makes this game so special?
it's just does so many different things, man. Like I've been one of the people that are getting like agitated at some of the all the hate and the
Yeah.
reviewers and stuff, and I understand it's their opinion and all that kind of stuff, right? But like I just like I don't understand a lot of the talk about it because
Mm.
for me it does so many different things that no other game has done, and it does all these things well, right? And
Yeah.
there's some criticism and critiques, and there's some things I would like to see improved or whatever, but nothing that has like taken me out of the experience or killed the experience for me. It's all
Mm.
been like, oh, that's a little nitpicky thing that they could work on, and you know, and then I'm sure they will, right? But include also they made a post talking about that kind of stuff that they're going to keep updating it. But um, for what they gave us at launch, a game of this ambition and
Yeah.
scope, I have never seen a game have this much ambition and scope launch at this level of quality.
Yeah.
It just hasn't happened. I
Yeah.
can't think of one. Or like,
No.
there's what
Agree.
other games have this ambition of scope in the first place? There's like a handful, maybe. And a lot of those games originally didn't launch with a lot of the features that were. This is feature
Yeah.
complete. It's like a high quality across the board. There's some issues here and there. There's still some bugs and stuff, but like overall, like matching the quality with the ambition and scope of what they put out, I haven't ever seen before. And there's a lot of things that because I had really high expectations for Starfield. I was
Yeah.
like, man, it's going to be hard press for anything to not be for to be game of the year over Starfield, right? Because I just knew I loved Bethesda, right? I love Bethesda. I love RPGs, right?
Yeah.
But there's aspects to it that actually like far exceeded my expectations, like the combat,
Hmm.
um, the animations, like the fluidity.
Yeah.
Nobody's talking about that. Like the animations, not just of your own character and how fluid it is in first and third person, but also the enemies and the animations
Yeah.
of the enemies are actually really solid.
Yeah.
How they get on their knees, they run through things, they jump in the down like down large areas, they go up, they jetpack away, like
Yeah.
all these different things are happening. But then also you add on top of that the great writing, the great storytelling, the characters, you
Honestly, that
know.
is what surprised me the most. Everyone knows I'm a big Bethesda fan. Yeah, I have
Yeah,
like thousands of hours in Skyrim, um, and others. Like my journey began with Elder Scrolls 2. Actually, Daggerfall was the
right.
first I played. Yeah, and Morrowind, Oblivion. I also like the Fallout games. 3 was fantastic. New Vegas is the
Mhm.
best. Um, 4 didn't capture me as much. So I'm a huge Bethesda fan. But my biggest criticism about Skyrim, and I consider Skyrim to be one of the best games ever made,
Yeah.
um, was actually like the writing. It was like it took me like 3 playthroughs to
Mhm.
understand the main story. You know, what's actually
Yeah.
going on. And this is so well written. The story is so well told. Not just the main story, also the side stories. You can actually
Yeah.
follow the stories and what's actually going on, and the writing is never boring. Usually I skip through dialogues a lot in these kind of games and just read the subtitles and then bam bam bam. It's so well written.
Yeah.
It for me that's one of the biggest improvements that they have done in their Bethesda games, honestly.
For
But
sure.
sorry, I interrupted you, man.
No, you're good, man. Like to touch on your point, like with the storytelling and the writing, especially for me on the side quests, like what I judge in games with that is like, am based on the story and the delivery of it, am I motivated to follow through with it? You know what I mean? Does it
Yeah,
motivate me to need to find out what happens next or to go do that mission, right? And I find myself more times than not saying yes to doing the missions because the it's intriguing, right?
yeah,
And I'm like, wow, they actually got me with that. I didn't expect to be interested in these some of these side quests, and even when they're a distraction from what you're currently doing, because you'll be on a mission or doing a quest, and then something else will pop up, and you're like, "Dang, I don't want to say no to that because it
yeah,
sounds really fun," you know. And I don't. Then the other aspect of that is like when you do it, does it feel rewarding? Right? A
yes,
lot of times in games, you do these side missions or quests, and then at the end, you're like, "Okay, well, that wasn't really worth it." Like
yeah,
I find like in Starfield, everything I end up doing
Gives
ends
you
up
some.
feeling rewarding,
Yeah, it
right?
is. May it be the XP you actually gain. So it's not like, even if you like try to explore, like the some random planet that doesn't have like a main mission or a faction mission or something, and you just explore like an abandoned mine or something, you still get enough XP so that you feel afterwards, after clearing it out, okay, that was actually worth it. Or you find enough loot or resources that you can actually use. You always have that sense of reward. I agree, man.
Yeah. And that's hard to do in a game of this scope because like they have to fill it with so much content. And then that's something else that I don't feel like the game's getting a lot of credit for, because a lot of times a lot of the conversation is about the things that the game is lacking in or doesn't do. And there's so much content here, and it's like I'm focusing more on everything I'm doing. Like, how am I spending
Yeah,
my time, you know? And that's how I always judge games, is like, is it rewarding my time? Do I feel like justified in spending this much time in
yeah,
something? And is it time well spent? Like, am I thinking about it when I'm not playing it? Do I want to get back to it? All those kind of things.
yeah,
And this game is like mastered all of those different aspects to it, that really makes me feel engaged and immersed. And then most interesting thing, and to put it into perspective, right? You're doing a mission, like you go and do a side mission or whatever, or you just decide, hey, I'm going to go explore this random planet, right? And then you go and explore this random planet, which a lot of the earlier conversation is like, oh, there's going to be so many barren planets, all this stuff is like, turns out to be, that's one of the best things about this game, is
mm.
actually exploring the random planets, because you'll come across crazy stuff,
Yeah, you
and
do.
you'll go onto a planet that you didn't know anything was going to be there. You could have a ship fly down that I want to steal that ship, or you could have a couple outposts you want to go explore. But what happens to me is when I get into that and I go and do this mission and it ends up having fun combat, or I explore a cave that has great scope of scale, like with like it goes deeper and deeper, these huge caverns
Yeah,
and stuff like that. I'll go and I'm like, wow, this is awesome. Have fun, loot tons of stuff, right? Find
yeah,
legendary things, different weapons I've never found before, and I go and do all that. It's like, wow, that was fun. And it was random. I just decided to do this completely on my own. I don't know if how many other people have experienced this thing that I
yes,
just did, right? And then you take a step back and you think about it. It's like, wow, there's 1,000 planets. How many
yes.
more experiences are there like
Like
this that
that.
I have no clue about? And
Uh,
the amount of content in this game is insane for a single player RPG.
yeah,
It's nuts, man.
it is. Like the other day, I was doing some random side quest, and it took me to a planet where there is like a holiday resort on that planet, and some clerk wanted to
Mhm.
talk to me about something, and so basically didn't end up doing my actual side quest that I was there for, because he told me about the spaceship hovering above the planet, and I
Mhm.
went up there. He wanted me to take care of that, and I found out that this was a huge ship, like, and there were people from original Earth on there. They've been spending
Yes.
250 years on that, and I was like, if I would have not done this random side quest that I found, I don't even know where I found that random side quest. Yeah, went to that planet, talked to a guy I wasn't supposed to talk to. I would have never discovered this amazing story about this entire ship full of people that have been living on that
Mhm.
ship for generations. They were there for 250 years, 3 or 4 generations, born, lived, and died on that ship, and it was like an amazing quest that opened up. And it is
So yeah.
these kind of things that you discover by just exploring, and it is insane when you think about how, like you said, 1,000 planets. Not every planet has these kind of major quest lines to be discovered, but there's so much in that that is just
Yeah.
amazing. And then when you think
Yeah,
about this game is like so many things in one, like a classic Bethesda RPG. Yeah, discover the planets with crafting and whatnot. But then you have space fights. It's a dog fighting
yep.
game. Yeah, and it is really fun. Like I did not
It is.
expect that. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the good old Wing Commander days, where and I did really not expect the dogfighting to be that good. It is a full-fledged space fight simulator kind of game.
Yeah,
And
and the
then
ships are completely customizable with the
yes,
weapons and everything too. So
shipbuilding is like they made it so much. They spend way too much time in shipbuilding, but it's just fun to build that thing. Then you have the same thing with base building. I didn't dive too deep into base building yet, but I have to because it is like also a super deep system. And it's actually one of the things I want to do next, like dive into base building and get like my own economy running. So I've been seeing people, that make the like 400,000 units a day or so because they set up multiple of their outposts and have a proper economy going there. Like all that in one game, man. It is nuts.
yeah,
And
there's
everything
so
is
much
fun.
stuff, dude.
It's like, yeah.
I really blown away by what they made, and it has actually like, and I've been a little public about it. The game has, for me at this part, and maybe I'll change my mind a year or two from now, like based on like looking back. But
Mm-hmm.
if someone was to ask me today what my favorite game of all time is, I would say Starfield. Um, and I'm a huge Bethesda fan. Like Oblivion and Skyrim were my
Yeah.
two favorite. Oblivion was my favorite Bethesda fan. I mean Bethesda game, but it just surpasses a lot of other games for me, just because the amount of different things there is to do and the amount like I can go. I want to do missions and have combat. Okay, I'll focus on that, or I want to
Yeah.
focus on the main storyline. Okay, I want to go do that. Oh, I want to go do some exploring. Okay, I'll go do that. Oh, I want to go build a ship. Okay, I'll go do that. I want to go find a ship to steal. All right, I'll go do that. Or I want to go. There's so many different play styles and things you can do based on
Yeah.
your mood and what you feel like, and there's really like an endless amount of stuff, and we're just on the cusp of it because
Yes.
like this game is only going to have more and more added to it over time with the mods and stuff that are going to come
Oh,
later,
yeah.
and then updates and from the developers. I'm really blown away. I really think they've achieved something that's special.
Yes.
That they don't not getting quite the credit I feel like they deserve based on what they've built.
Yeah.
So that's been bothering me, but it is what it is, right? Everybody has their own opinion and stuff. It's just when I see something that I feel like hasn't been done before. There's no game like this,
Yeah.
period, and does everything to a good to great degree. And it's
It
definitely
is
the only other
phenomenal.
game I can think about that might challenge it right now is Halo 2 and Red Dead Redemption 2 are the only other ones that like I
Mm.
may look back and say, okay, those might still be my favorite games of all time. But right now, if you ask me, I would say Starfield is my favorite.
Sweet. I'm not that far yet because usually, you know, I can always tell that a game like becomes my favorite or in the favorites of all time is not while I'm playing it, but if I still think about the game a year after,
Yeah.
and still come back playing it, then I can tell. Okay, this is one of my all times. Yeah, one of my all times is Skyrim. It's Witcher. Is probably the last one I would consider like one of the best games ever made. Red Dead was two. Two was fantastic. Don't get me wrong, but it didn't stick like with me like a Skyrim, like a Witcher.
Yeah.
Or Ocarina of Time if we go far back.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. That was
that's
amazing.
what are some of the games that I consider to be the best of all time. But Starfield, it definitely has the potential to be there. It's not a perfect game, and we will touch on some of the things maybe that we could see improvement on. But I need to catch up on some supers. No game is perfect.
Is a perfect game.
No,
right. 10
absolutely.
out of 10 they're not perfect. You know what I
They're
mean?
not.
Like it's just there's no
They're
such
not.
thing as a perfect game.
Yeah. Let me briefly catch up on some of the super chats. Pyro Matt sends in a £2 super chat and says, weekly reminder, Cassetta Beasts is a must play. I have never even heard of that game, honestly. Have you heard
What
of
game?
Cassette B or Cassetti Beast?
Oh yeah, Cassette Beast. It's like a 80s themed or 90s themed,
Okay.
like RPG, like Monster Hunter type, no,
Ooh.
or no Pokemon style
Mm.
game, kind of, sort of. I
Oh,
think you capture monsters and it's like a turn-based RPG.
okay. I never heard of that, man.
It was
Um,
in I think it was in Game Pass when it
okay,
launched.
okay. Yeah, man. If we talk about turn-based, I need to play Sea of Stars.
Yeah,
I hear nothing but good things about it, and it sounds like it's right up my alley. But I just can't put Starfield down. It's just too good. I will play that at some point though. Drawn TJ sends in a $2 super chat and says, "Hi Mav, hi Boxy, and no Dutch. Starfield is amazing. Absolutely agree, man. Absolutely agree." We had a great party chat the other day, by the way. I was playing
yeah.
Starfield, and TJ jumped in the party chat, and I was like doing the Freestar Ranger collective, faction quest line. I had to make a real tough decision. And TJ was laughing because I was reloading like 7 or 8 times my save file. So did I make the right decision or not? It was
Have you
great.
finished? Have you finished that quest line yet?
Yes, I have
So did you get the prize?
the ship.
Yeah,
Yeah, I got that.
that's my favorite ship, man. I added 2 more cargo holds to it, so now it's
Okay.
like at 3,100 like cargo space or whatever on that
Mm.
ship. And also it's great in combat too. I love that ship.
I looked at it, and like literally every stat was worse than the ship I built myself.
Right?
So I
Hey,
never used it,
you built
honestly.
a good ship. You built a good ship. I changed the
It looks
colors though.
like ass
It was
though. Yeah. I
yeah,
was like, man, if I make it beautiful, I need to attach, like
yeah.
the cosmetic modules. They all bring just
Mhm.
weight in there, and I'm just rather slapping another laser gun on that. So it's like it
Yeah.
looks like shit, but it is a great chip. So
Yeah, I painted my Star Eagle black and red, so because it came in that
mm,
brown color, was ugly.
yeah,
So, but yeah, I love it now.
sweet. Did you do the Mantis side quest?
Yes, I
Yeah,
did.
dude, that's some sweet loot there. Like
Yeah.
I
Yep.
got a rifle out of this thing. It is like it feels so OP in the game.
Mhm.
This rifle.
Yeah, I got this one rifle. I just can't stop using it because it's so good. It's a Beowulf, but
Hmm.
it's a legendary version of it, and it's like silenced, and you can fire it so fast, and it takes like a half health or the third health every single shot, pretty much. You can sometimes instant kill for headshots with it too,
Sweet.
but like you pick up the ammo so often. Like I got like 1,000 bullets on it, and
Yeah,
it's a single shot gun, so it's just never run out of ammo with it, and it's just destroys, man. I love
yeah,
that gun.
yeah. The rifle I have it's a 7.7 millimeter caliber, and usually
Mhm.
all the what are they called the guns with the huge magazines, automated guns. God damn it, blanking. Sorry, I could tell the German name, but
LMG?
LMGs.
Yeah.
Thank you. Like these bullets are usually used for these LMGs, and they don't. Every single hit usually doesn't do a lot of damage, but that's the reason why you find a lot of ammo. And I constantly have like 1,000
Yeah.
plus bullets, and this is like a semi-automatic sniper rifle, and you just bam, 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 kill everyone, and you have
Yeah.
basically
Especially
infinite
using it
ammo,
now.
and it feels so OP, man.
Yeah.
Sith Lord sends in a channel member chat for being a channel member for 13 months. Thank you, man, for the continued support. And he says, I'm about 8 hours in and I'm loving it more and more. Glad to hear that. It is a phenomenal game. Absolutely,
Yeah.
it is. So, but what are some of the criticisms you have? What would you like to change, Bethesda?
I think they need some to improve the inventory management a little bit just with some
Mm,
quality of life features. Being able to access the different inventories from everywhere would be great.
yeah,
Because it's sometimes annoying to have to go back to your ship or have to go here, go there to move stuff around.
yeah,
There's certain aspects like that. a lot of people focused on the space exploration stuff. Like, I personally don't have much of an issue with any of that at all. Um, but it's more about the some of the stuff that's missing, like the city maps.
Mm-hmm. That
Need
would be
city
one of
maps,
my, yeah,
right?
yeah.
Inventory stuff, just quality of life things. You know what I mean? Like, um, it would be nice. Like, now I haven't had much of an issue with this because I've been playing on PC. Um, there are a lot of loading screens in some of the cities, especially
Yeah.
like Neon. You have to keep going out of those. Which on PC, it's like a second, right? When I open the door or whatever,
Yeah.
it just doesn't feel like a loading screen. It just feels like I'm just walking through the door, and it takes a second, you know. But I have noticed that when I'm playing on Series X, there are some instances where the loading screens can get a little bit longer, like
Mm,
8 seconds, and then I've seen on Xbox a couple of them that have gone up to like 20 seconds occasionally or so,
yeah.
right? So those things would be nice because if they helped improve on those things, but those are like not like major game breaking things for me that takes me out of the immersion or anything
Mm,
like that. It's just more about nitpicky stuff, right?
yeah.
So if they improve that, it'd be great. But you know, I think they will. They've already mentioned the city maps,
Yeah.
that they're going to be working on that. They've mentioned some of the other
They've
things.
mentioned actually almost my wish list
Yeah.
earlier because I was also like city maps. Yeah, that can be annoying. Like I want to see where the vendors are, and the other thing is HDR.
Hmm.
It is. I tried on PC
Yeah.
the DLSS mod, you know, and it removes like their HDR build and it replaces it, and you get like better color saturation. And it's
Yeah.
I always say it's not DLSS that makes this game look better. It is like really the colors are much more vibrant, and I know that they are going for a more like realistic art style here, but they are not there yet. That it looks photorealistic.
Yeah.
So more vibrant colors, a better HDR implementation definitely would help.
Yeah, sometimes on some planets the light can kind of wash things out a little
Yeah,
bit, right?
yeah,
I like on that TV where I literally set this up yesterday
mm,
for the first time. And for some reason when I put it on that TV, there's like settings within the TV that take care of that. And
yeah.
it's like pops, like it's more vibrant and everything pops a lot more than if I'm like on my monitor with less like
I did something
tinkery
similar.
settings, right?
You can basically color correct the game with your TV settings, but then when you go to
Hmm.
another game, you know, you have to kind of
Yep.
switch the settings back, and you
Mhm.
shouldn't have to do that.
I 100% agree. Luckily, Starfield's the only game I'm playing
Yeah, yeah, that definitely helps. So
until
Bethesda,
Forza, probably.
yeah, Bethesda has addressed some of the things. The first update is coming soon is gonna be mainly like stability and bug fixes. But then they said that they are working on the top community requested features, is what they called it, which is brightness and contrast controls, HDR calibration menu, a field of view slider, DLSS on PC, and ultra wide 32 to 9 support, and an eat button for food. Whatever. So it kind of sounds like almost my wish list there. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I get maps and HDR, I'm good, man. I'm good. I love
Yeah.
that game. I get some of the criticism. Some people feel like, well, too much walking, talking. But that's a Bethesda game. I love that about those games. It is. This is what pulls you in a Bethesda world. You know, you have to do stuff to get stuff. You have to walk somewhere. You have to like talk to people, and I just love that. And they said it, and again, I said it earlier. The writing is so well done that
Hmm.
I just don't mind. I'm also not that bothered by the loading screens. I know they are there, but yeah, if I enter a new area and have to wait for 2, 3, 4 seconds, it really doesn't bother me that much,
Yeah.
honestly.
It
I don't
it
think
doesn't.
It's maybe
You're
it's
playing on PC too, right?
yes, I'm
Mainly,
going back and
right?
forth. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've noticed like it's not as big of a thing on the PC, and it's been
Yeah.
he's I gotta say, man, I because I bought this PC for Starfield, and I'm so glad I did because like if you have a good PC, man, this thing it's gorgeous, dude.
It
Like
is.
it's
It really
insanely
is.
gorgeous.
And you know what also makes a difference on PC? You can adjust the amount of NPCs in cities. If you go
Hmm.
to the options and just turning that slider a little bit more up, it makes like New Atlantis is like crowded, especially in around the port area, where
Hmm.
just a lot of people going on. It makes the worlds even more like immersive. Like in Aquila, a lot of NPCs are there. There are shootouts everywhere, and there are some quality of life changes you can do on PC that you can't see on console, definitely. And 60 FPS. I mean, I must admit, the 30 feel good on console for 30 FPS.
It does.
It
I
does.
was shocked, Box, because I'm a very against 30 frames in
Yeah,
games. You
me
know what I
too.
mean?
And I
And I
was
was like
very vocal
terrified.
against Starfield having 30. I was
Same.
very vocal against that. But I must admit, it does feel good. It's absolutely playable in 30 FPS. Of course, it's a little bit more fun at 60, but it's really not. And I don't think if it, I mean, there are always things you can do to bring down the resolution,
Hmm.
reduce level of detail. But it kind of feels like if you took away, especially the lighting in the game, and I feel like a lot of the resources, this game is very CPU heavy, yeah. So a lot of the resources go towards lighting. Just my gut feeling,
Yeah.
and if you would take away that, it definitely would like mean like a really quality decrease for gamers. So it's okay to have the 30 FPS. I still hope that they will find a way to bring a 60 FPS or maybe a 40 FPS for the VRR screens,
Yeah.
mode to consoles. I would definitely love to see that, but it's if you turn off the film grain, and everyone who hasn't done that definitely should do it soon, turn off the film grain in Starfield, then it really looks good on console as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I was impressed with their 30 frames
Yeah.
implementation. And I'm with you because I hate games in 30 frames usually. Like I tried playing Jedi Survivor in the quality mode because that's
Yeah.
what everybody was saying. Play it in that mode, and like I tried it. It's like, no,
No.
like this is
No.
awful to
Yeah.
me. I couldn't do it. I had to switch it right back to performance, which was janky. Performance mode is broken, and maybe it's better now because I know they've been doing more updates.
Updates.
But at launch, it was a horrible experience of performance. Like your art is artifacting with the main character and all this stuff. But
Again, VRR. If you played it
yeah,
in VRR, you could tell especially in some areas in the cities, the frame rate really dropped. Then
yeah,
even VRR is no magic, but like in the regular areas, most 90% of the areas where you had like the dips in the 50s, and so you don't notice those with VRR.
yeah.
So
Well, it was way better of an experience because with that, but like there was the quality dropped so low that with that game that it was like, oh man, like it
yeah,
was kind of ridiculous low on the quality wise. But like Starfield for their 30 mode, I I gotta say I'm super impressed because when I'm playing it, I've noticed it at first, for like a minute or two, and then it kind of melts away, and it's a very smooth experience, right? So they've done a fantastic job with Starfield. I don't know what magic they've done to make that happen,
yeah.
but it's definitely better than other 30 frames experiences I've had
I think it's the
with
per
similar type
pixel
games.
motion blur, honestly. Usually,
Yeah.
uh, most games, especially in consoles, include the per frame motion blur, where you basically blur the entire image. And they do like the per pixel motion blur, where you blur only the pixel that actually move. And it
Hmm.
really smoothens things out. So it is, like you said, very much playable. Pyromet
Yeah,
sends in a £2 super chat. It says Bethesda game studios don't have bugs; they are unintended features.
yeah. So that's some hilarious clips,
They
man.
are,
I absolutely hilarious. I'm glad that some of that stuff's still there.
yeah.
There's one like Vasco just punching this NPC in the face during mid dialogue. It's
Okay.
hilarious. Like it's random stuff, man. It's cracks me up. This game.
I I only encountered like one thing, and I'm not even sure if that was a bug. I was talking to some random NPC standing there, and then like a monster came and just knocked off that NPC mid conversation. The guy flew
Yeah.
like miles off. But other than that, I have not encountered any like game breaking bugs. Of course, there are these occasional, like collision errors or something, but it's really not like anything of the Bethesda games that we have had before Starfield,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, good stuff, and it's doing very well for Xbox, by the way. Yeah, I don't know if you've seen that, but sales, some of the console sales numbers are out, especially in the UK. The sales of console Microsoft's Series X and S consoles went up 76% on a week basis after the launch of Starfield. Yeah, they also have shown like a very impressive physical launch, very high numbers in physicals. So who would have guessed quality games sell consoles? And I feel like this is definitely a system seller. We don't care about the sevens from IGN, but it is a good game. Whether it's a 9 or a 10 or whatever for you, who cares? It is a fun, good game, a quality game, and those sell consoles.
It's going to be a game that people are playing for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's great for Xbox just to have that attachment to it, like for it to be recognized along with the Xbox brand, right? Like, it's also extremely popular on Steam and PC. So across the board, this is a big win for them. And they're going to sell more consoles from it, but they're also going to get a lot of subscriptions into Game Pass because of this.
Yeah.
And PC Game Pass is going to do numbers because of this, and then also more people are going to play the game on Steam, and then try the game. Like, hey, Xbox makes quality games, right? So
yeah.
But the thing is with me, Box is like for me, Starfield is like marking the kind of like the start of a new era.
It's funny you say that. I launched a video this Monday, I think. It went live with exactly that title. Is Starfield a new beginning of at the beginning of a new Xbox era? That was the title of the video.
Yeah. Well, it was part of our Marchers conversation we had, right? A long time ago was about like it, and we thought it would be great if they kicked off this year like in a big way, having Starfield and March, and then proceeded to have other games. Now at the time, we didn't know that Redfall was going to be bad, right?
Yes.
So it ended up working out better this way. Redfall coming out first, and then getting that out of the way. And then now you can really start with Starfield because they have a chance now to have Starfield and followed by Forza Motorsport. And everything with the previews on that game looks like it's going to be fantastic.
Absolutely. We're going to talk about that a little later in the show. Like you said, it looks fantastic. Yeah.
And then you have a chance to follow it up next year with like 4 potential big games, right?
So we know 2 of them already. Yeah.
And that's filling it in, and then that's on top of filling it in with the smaller games and the double A and then the indie style games, and then plus also all the third party games hitting into Game Pass day one. There's like how many of them are coming up just this month? There's like it's crazy, dude. So this is really setting to me like this is the start of they've been doing all this work to finally get to this place, right? And then now we're seeing the fruits of the last several years of the acquisitions and the games and development and all these different things. And now it's time that they're starting to deliver in Starfield and Forza and whatever Hellblade 2 and whatever's next. and it's just going to be a consistent train, man. And
It is.
it's going to be hard to stop that momentum.
Yeah,
I think it's going to keep going.
I totally agree. Again, for those who haven't watched, please go watch the video. But it is. I've been saying this. Xbox didn't have so far. The generation for Xbox was not like they intended it to be. When you look at how they started this gen in the middle of the pandemic, yeah, but everyone had to deal with that they were not able to bring out any games at launch. Like for the first 10 months in this console generation, we didn't have any major exclusive games. Yeah, there was only this one game, like with the horror game where you went back and forth in between another dimension. That was like the only exclusive game. I can't blanking on the name right now, and then we had like a month with Forza Horizon and Halo, and then we had nothing until, well, not counting the Pentiments, yeah. Then we had like a good surprise with Hi-Fi Rush, but it was don't get me wrong, I loved Hi-Fi Rush, but it is not what Xbox fans have been waiting for, yeah. They waited for games like a Starfield, like the big bangers, the AAA quality experiences, and then Redfall came out, yeah, like 18 months after 18 months of nothing, they bring out Redfall. And so but now we have been waiting for so long. If you look at 23 studios that they started to buy in 2018, yeah, and then we have been waiting for so long, and now the pipeline is, you can really feel that it's almost bursting. The games are coming out now. We have Starfield, we have Forza, we have Towerborn coming, we have in the first quarter of 24 Stalker 2, which, by the way, I played that at Gamescom. I really enjoyed what I've seen. If the small slice that I played at Gamescom is representative of the final game, honestly, this is gonna be an absolutely awesome game. Then we have Hellblade, Avowed for next year. Towerborn is also something you shouldn't sleep on.
Yeah. Jez from Windows Central, he's been raving about Towerborn.
I've been playing that with Dutch at Gamescom, and we're walking into Jez, and he was like, "Have you played it?" He was like, "Yeah, we just played it." What do you think? Because he was really like hyped for it. We went for dinner that evening with him, and the only game he talked about was Towerborn. And yeah, I agree. It was a super fun experience. We got to play one level and beat one boss. And it is kind of like a casual Monster Hunter is what I would describe it. Yeah, you have this. Yeah. It's a 2.5D world, so similar like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles games. But you have like loot, you have an RPG system around it. And then you go to this overworld where you have different levels, kind of similar to Monster Hunter, yeah, where you can craft your stuff and trade in gear. And then you go on the next level, get the loot in that level, and then go back. And at the central hub is where you do the stuff. So that kind of reminded me very much of Monster Hunter. And it is definitely a fun game. And they intended, it was also, we bumped into the lead designer of the game accidentally. And we had a 30-minute conversation with him, and he told us about the plans for the game, that they want to support it. Like, he tried to avoid using games as a service, because he said there's zero plans for any like microtransactions or whatever in that game, but they want to continue to support that game with additional worlds, new characters and stuff to discover, and they intend to support that game for years. So.
How about ongoing content game?
Like ongoing content. Yeah. He also talked about how they would not be able to do that without Game Pass. He said like they're too small. There's like 6 people in that studio. Yeah. And they wouldn't be able to do like a game that just has content added to it over years without monetizing it if it weren't for Game Pass. So that was a really interesting conversation. Definitely. So Tron TJ sends in a $5 super chat. Thank you, man. And he says, "Hey Boxy, ask man if he stole the mech shear weapon that I told you." Yeah. I think he wanted to type ask math.
Oh yeah.
Did you steal the Mach Shear weapon? Have you heard about that?
Is it the pistol?
It is like more like a rifle. Yeah.
Okay, I don't think I have it. Yeah,
There's like
I have a pistol that's like a mag something, and it shoots like radiation bullets. It's
okay,
like completely OP, right? But
okay.
I don't have the rifle.
I TJ told me about that, and he told me how to steal it. Like there's like this weapon vendor, and you can't buy that weapon. It lies on its shelf, but you can't buy that weapon there. And there's a garbage can nearby. You can take that garbage can and knock the rifle off of the shelf, and then move the rifle with the garbage can into the other room next door, and then you can pick up
Yeah.
it because then the owner won't realize that you stole it. And I was trying that for like 30 minutes, and then I gave up.
Okay.
I never was able to push that weapon into that other room.
What town is it in?
It's called, the planet is called Pavlo. It's
Okay.
where you go there a lot in the Freestar Ranger quest line. It's where the New Hope company is located.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got it.
So, yeah, TJ, I never was able to do that. So, but yeah, where were we? Yeah,
I know
like
Starfield.
Xbox
Starfield
New
always
Beginning.
gets us distracted.
Yeah, man, that game. It's like just like in real life. I'm sitting there in meetings, Oh, I got a 15-minute break in between two meetings. I have to boot up Starfield. I can't stop thinking about it and playing it. It's just too good. But yeah, you were right, man. And a lot of games that Xbox actually released recently didn't even get mentioned. Like H4 came to console, and
Yeah, dude, I haven't had a chance to even barely touch it, man. And I
Your
love it.
loss.
I love it. It's a really good implementation on console, though. I did try.
It
I did
is.
try it. Yeah.
I mean, I have 700 hours in H4 on PC. So H4 on console works really different than on PC because they implemented a lot of mechanics where you basically put automation in place, so you can say, okay, like I want to have my villagers split it in between 30% on food, 30% on gold, and stuff like that, and then they walk there automatically and do the things. And of course, that changes drastically some of the strategies that you have to use on PC, where you don't have that option. So, but it is like I'm not saying better or worse. It is a phenomenal game, and I still stand by it. Up until Starfield, this was the best game this generation. H4 is an absolutely amazing experience. The campaign is incredible. Really, like I've never played a campaign that good in a strategy game. They have so many missions where they try to do something different. It's not always just every mission in the campaign where like, okay, build up the base, build up the army, and then destroy the enemy. It's like there are stealth missions in there. There's everything. They really nailed the campaign, and the multiplayer is just too addictive. And nobody talks about it, man.
No, I know.
It makes me sad.
And this year in general, like there's so many things that Xbox did that nobody's really talking about. Like they had like 10 first-party releases this year, bro.
Yeah.
Like on Xbox. And if you compare that to what other to like what Sony does, which is their biggest competitor, it's like it's hand over fist, like 10 times the amount of content. Like the remasters they've done, like Quake 2 Shadow Drop remaster was like it's so good, and they put a lot of work into that. It wasn't just a little bit amount of work, but even for people that wanted to buy it, they sold it for $10, dude.
$10, man.
Like this is something that like Nintendo, if they put that much work into, would sell for $50-$60 easy. Like and there's all these different things that you can point to. Like okay, so Red Dead Redemption 1, the amount of work they put into that for just porting it to PlayStation was happening like the same week, I think, that they shadow dropped Quake 2 for $10. And I know it's a much older game, but they put a lot more work into Quake 2 than 2K did to Red Dead, right? So there's so much stuff that they've done this year. You had Age 2 also hit console this
Yeah,
year,
right.
which honestly, if that was all we got for Age on console this year, I would have been happy because that is an amazing game on console also.
Yeah.
You had Hi-Fi Rush Shadow Drop. There was 3 Shadow Drops this year. You had Age 4, you
Hi-Fi
had
Rush.
Hi-Fi Rush, and Quake 2.
Yeah.
3 Shadow Drops in 1 year.
Well, and GoldenEye. We could count GoldenEye.
The GoldenEye also, did come out. Redfall was the big down moment, right? And I think
Definitely.
it erased a lot of that momentum that they had started building up with a lot of these releases.
Yeah.
They had big expansions for games like Forza Horizon got more content and stuff like that as well. There was just so much stuff, dude. And you know what? It's like nobody was really talking about it. And now it's like finally got the big release, right? So that's catching people's attention. And then I think it's just gonna continue, bro. Like
Absolutely.
I hope they get the same amount of content with the other experiences too, because like I think it was a special year for all of that. Like all these other smaller experiences that we got, or like ports and remasters and remakes. Like I appreciate those things because they're not like trying to take advantage of us with that stuff. It's almost like this is fan service type thing, right? Another one, Killer Instinct, right? That's supposed to be later this year. Update to Xbox Series X. With ongoing content again for that. So that's amazing.
It is. I mean, 2023 in general is an amazing year for gaming. But I agree with your original point. Like it really feels like the beginning of a new era for Xbox, because we've been waiting for that cadence where we just get on a regular basis quality AAA releases. And if we look at the next 12 to 18 months, only thinking about the stuff that we know, we are there. We have Starfield now. Next month, Forza. We have Stalker 2. We have Hellblade. We have Avowed. I still have the feeling that we will be playing Hellblade rather sooner than later. It was so funny because Dutch and I, we have had this little bet here on the podcast about whether Starfield or Forza comes first. So I won that. And now we have a bet for next year, Avowed and Hellblade. And I said Hellblade's going to be first. And then Avowed is going to be the fall game. And we were at Gamescom. Sorry to bother you with Gamescoms, by the way, but we were talking to Melina Jürgens, the actress that plays Senua. And she was there, and the community lead, Will, I forgot his last name, Will, was also there. We were standing there, and Dutch was telling them about our bet. And he said, like, no way that Hellblade is gonna come first. And then she was smirking, like real big smirk. You sure about that? And then Will was like, I would put my eggs in the basket of Boxy. And it was like really so. And we were walking away from the two, and Dutch was like, man, you could be right. It could be first half. It's like, so, other than that, we know that they have other things, a lot of things that they haven't announced yet. Yeah, we still don't know anything what Machine Games are working on other than the indie game that is years out. It is still unknown. ZeniMax Online, we have no idea. Tango Gameworks. There are so many studios where we have no idea. A lot of those studios have second projects. This is a crazy thing.
It is, man.
And Drawn TJ says in the super chat of $2, and we will have Call of Duty this year. It's not even considering ABK, man.
Which hopefully gets wrapped up within a month. There's about October 18th is the deadline.
It's the deadline. So, but we had deadlines before where we thought the deal is over. So you never know, man. And it's gotten really quiet around that. Like,
they're working out the deal right now. They're just in, I think with the CMA, they're just in this phase of, they're doing, like, CMA's doing their brand new phase 1 investigation where they're basically going over all their findings from the original and then adding the new information to it, and going to basically make their decision off of that. So there's thoughts that it could close earlier than the 18th, but
Yeah,
it's also, man, it's the CMA is just ridiculous. So
it
you
is.
never know.
It is. I just hope it's over, man.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
yeah,
did you see? You know, the Forza previews? You said we're going to talk about Forza,
yeah.
right?
Let's talk about them. Come
Okay.
on.
I got a question. Like, so I was watching Iron Lords and Lord Cognito's interview, which he did a fantastic job because he was asking the same questions that I would have, and one of the questions was something that I had assumed, and we had talked about on our shows quite a bit about, and this goes back years for what we were thinking the future for Forza would be, right? And with them ditching the name or the numbers, right? So it's just Forza Motorsport, and them taking so long to get this out and stuff, breaking the routine, that this was going to be like a platform, like it was going to be like live in Game Pass and be like live service or whatever, but just like be an ongoing game, right?
Yeah.
And Cog actually asked the question, and they just were right up front and said, "Yeah, there's no planned sequels. Like, well, this is what our plan is to support this game over years and go from there, right?" So
Yeah.
that was intriguing to me because that's what I've wanted for it. You know,
I agree.
especially with how they do their updates. You know, on Xbox, like they continue to support the games, right? Like they give updates, they give visual updates, they give when there's reasons to, right? They give technology updates, they give content updates, all these different things. So Forza, I'm thinking of as like, okay, they're gonna launch it. It's gonna have this amount of content, which is a lot already.
Yeah.
And then it's gonna build up on itself over years. It's just always gonna be that experience that lives in Game Pass, right?
I agree.
It's gonna be pretty dope. It's different.
And it is, again, something that is, in my opinion, probably only possible if you have a working model like Game Pass. Because it makes absolutely sense for Forza to do that. If you think about, like, what were the upgrades in between, like, Forza Motorsport 6 and 7? Yeah, there were slight visual improvements. Yes, there were. But most of those came because the One X came out and we were able to play it in 4K. But if you compare it on a 1080p screen, minor visual updates, few other cars, whatever. Having like a numbered new full game every other year with such a title, it's basically the same with all the sports games. If you think about the FIFAs and whatnot, it just doesn't make sense. And to have that game continued as a continued supported game, it makes total sense. And that also, like, I truly believe that gives players a better reason to stick with the game. If you know, okay, if I play this and unlock that and save my money to get this car and spend the time upgrading that car, and it's still gonna be relevant in a year or two, or whenever I'm going to pick the game up again, it makes gamers a lot more, attached to that game. Rather than to know, okay, in 2 years I will have to buy the next one and I start all over again. So it definitely makes sense.
It doesn't make sense for every game,
not
right?
for everyone.
Sure.
Every game, no. But for those kind of games.
Yeah, it does. It makes so much sense because it's like you got, like, you're right, like between Forza 3, 4, 5, whatever, and ongoing. Like it's a lot of the same experience. You get new tracks, you get new cars, and you get visual upgrades, and some upgrades with the physics and stuff like that, right? But they changed the career slightly and stuff. But overall, I mean, you're still racing a car around the track, and you know what I mean. And they move a lot of the cars with you from game to game as well because they've reused a lot of the assets, right, in the past. So it just makes sense to keep that library there and just keep adding on to it. So I'm kind of looking forward to how they're going to pull it off. I think they may have had to change the licensing agreements to make this happen. Potentially with the license holders for the car companies and stuff, because Traditionally, they've lasted like what 3 years, and then they get delisted and stuff. So if
Yeah,
this game's
usually I
going
think
to
the car
be there for
licenses are
longer,
longer. It's usually the music where they have the
music.
problem. Yeah, music.
So it'll be interesting to see how they're doing that with this, and
Yeah,
I just keep
absolutely.
I must have some things in there to kind of re-up it or whatever over
Yeah,
so many years. But I'm looking forward to seeing what they do, man.
yeah, me too.
It's going to be a special racing game for sure. The previews are
Definitely.
really promising.
Absolutely. Like, I have not seen anyone say anything really negative about it. Like, minor nitpicks here and there, which is fair. But the previews are vastly positive,
Yeah.
and rightfully so. I mean, unfortunately, I didn't get a code for the preview. I could have
Hmm.
gotten one, but I was in Italy, and so I was like, yeah, I would have had like 5 hours to play it or so after I come home after 2 weeks of camping. So no chance. Um, but it is like I when we were again at Gamescom, we got like because I Forza Irwin, shout out to him by the way, he was with us at Gamescom and he knows Aaron Greenberg, and Aaron Greenberg snuck us in to the Forza booth before the booth actually opened. And so we had like the team was sitting there, having their coffees and donuts, and and we were like, "Hey guys!" And so we got a really good behind closed doors demo with the team, and
Hmm.
the game was phenomenal. It ran actually not on an Xbox, but on the Xbox Dev Kit. So, um, but it really looked phenomenal. What stood out to me is besides the visuals and everything are two things, honestly. The one thing that stands out is the physics. You can really see and feel like the shift of the car's weight when you drive through corners and stuff, or interact on grass or the actual road. And the physics system is really impressive. It looks and feels very different than the previous Forzas. And then the other thing what that just surprised me that I didn't have on my radar is the career mode, where you actually race your car and your car levels up
Yeah.
depending on how you perform, really like in an RPG kind of system. And that's how they do the campaign now. So you really level up your car by having actual driving skills. They use the phrase car PG, uh,
Yeah.
and it's that really looks like it's gonna be a lot of fun and does something a little different than the regular sim racing games.
Yeah.
So
I've been asking for more of a grind with Forza Motorsport, like because I come from like the love for old school like Gran
mm,
Turismo back in the day when like you started out with a piece of crap and you had to change the oil and you bought a car that had 100,000 miles on it or whatever,
mm.
and then you just eventually you finally got to afford a new exhaust pipe, right? Although yes, and
Oh
it makes the
yeah.
car just slightly faster and you can finally maybe get second place instead of fourth with that piece of crap car, and then eventually get upgraded enough to where you can get first, right?
Yeah.
And then doing that at the time, I was like, what happened was I grew attached to the car, right?
Mm.
Because I had to go through those battles with it, and
Yeah.
and then eventually you win the race, and then you get enough money to be able to get another car, and it's like, do I want another car? I freaking love this car. It's a piece of crap, but like, it was really fun journey, right? So,
Yeah.
but I kind of missed that. Whereas like Forza had gotten to the point with motorsport. Horizon's fine. This is what Horizon should be
This,
about. But with
yeah.
motorsport, they were just starting to throw cars at you like candy and stuff, and
Mm.
and it was like, okay, well, I didn't really even have to hardly do anything, and now I have this garage with like $5 million cars,
Yeah.
and so I've wanted more of a grind aspect, and I feel like this was their attempt to do that. That's kind of what they've commented on. I know that some of our uh, panel members and family over there with Fun Speculation, they have concerns over the car
Hmm.
leveling system, which that's the biggest concern I've seen from the community. I'm on a kind of a wait and see approach. I'm curious how it's going to work. and if it's going to feel more limiting for people,
Mm-hmm.
or if it's going to feel like a good experience of leveling up your car. I kind of think of it as like similar to like Call of Duty guns,
Mm-hmm.
right? You have your gun, you the more you use a certain gun, you unlock different parts for it and can make it awesome, right?
Yeah.
The difference here is like you're really held back from being good because
Your
of
car
the
hasn't leveled up yet. Yeah.
right. So that's going to be the interesting thing. I personally don't think I'm going to mind that at all. It maybe is going to hopefully achieve what I'm wanting it to.
Yeah.
But I know for some people it's going to be a change because this is
It
the
is.
biggest change for Forza Motorsport they've had yet, and not being able to tinker what you want to or have different things like level cap to where okay you can't unlock this until you're level 35. The
Well,
enthusiasts want may want to unlock something else first or
yeah,
something
but
like
that's
that,
only
you
in
know?
campaign mode though. So you
Right.
can still have like your races and uh, tweak everything you want. This leveling system is for the career mode. So
But
I
there's so it does go into multiplayer also in certain
in
aspects.
certain
But
aspects, yeah. Uh, but I,
custom races, I don't think so.
yeah, the thing is, I think that's their approach to make a sim racer, which Forza tries to
Mhm.
be like one of the best sim racers with the Assetto Corsatas out there and so on. It tries to be this well kind of niche racing genre of heavy sim racing and makes it
Yeah.
more approachable to the masses by
Mhm.
having such systems and like this rewarding loop of driving another loop and another loop and practicing and becoming
Yeah.
better to reward that more. I feel like that is the attempt to try to get more casual players to play sim racing games. And to me, honestly, it sounds good because I'm more of a Forza Horizon guy. Right? If I have to choose in between a Forza Motorsport and or a sim racer in general and a more casual driving game like a Horizon or Motorfest is coming out, yeah, I think I always choose the more arcadey experience, and so I'm really looking forward to see if this is actually fun in Forza Motorsport. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It'll be interesting. I'm gonna probably spend more time with single cars, right? Which is like
Hmm.
what I personally want,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, so we shall see. Drawn TJ sends in a $2 super chat and says, "How is the earning cars or buying online cars?" Well, I have no idea.
You
Honestly,
earn credits from doing races and then you
that's the
shop for
thing you
cars.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that so when you start a race, you can basically decide where's your starting position, and the lower your starting position, the higher
Yeah.
the rewards. So yeah,
I just hope
but
they don't throw tons of cars at me like,
yeah,
"Here you go, you won a car." After every race. "Oh, look, you won another car." Like I don't personally that's cool for some people like,
mm,
"Oh, yay," but I want to work for it,
hmm,
right? Forza Horizon, throw those cars at me like candy, you know what
yeah.
I mean?
And
But
I
like Forza
always
Motorsport,
use the same two. Like I have two cars in Forza
yeah.
Horizon that I actually use. I have like hundreds of them in my garage, but I use two because those are the two I like. And so yeah, yeah, we shall see. I don't know about online buying online cars. There will definitely be some sort
Same
of like
car.
monetizing and buying cars online.
Oh, so yeah, I'm sure they'll have like a car pass,
Mm,
and like a regular thing, and then you'll probably get some cars they release for free, and then some cars you'll have to buy
yeah,
with real money over time as they release new content. But as far as like in game, like the online cars and your single player cars are the same cars,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Agreed. So yeah, overall closing thoughts on the previews of Forza Motorsport. It they all made it sound to be like really the racing game to look forward to, man.
Yeah, I've seen also articles say it's probably going to end up being the best looking racing game of all time, and
Yeah.
I can't wait because what's really sold me on Forza in the past, and one of the reasons I loved it is just how much fun the sim racing
Hmm.
is, right? And to have the graphics look
Hmm.
as amazing it is. I mean, you see these videos with like just the lighting and stuff, and I think Forza also has some of the best tracks out there, like in racing.
Yeah.
I just love everything I'm seeing about it, and I can't freaking wait, man.
I mean,
It's
they have the
gonna be a
Nürburgring,
blast.
and I've been driving
Mhm.
on that track myself.
Right?
Yeah, a couple of years ago, I had the chance to drive on the Nürburgring myself, so I'm
Did you end up
happy.
in a ditch? Did you end up in a
No,
ditch?
I did not. I did not.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
good. That's good.
yeah, it was awesome.
You go on the Autobahn like ever?
Yeah, sure, regularly. I
How fast do you go when you drive on the Autobahn?
as fast as my car can go.
It's so crazy to me, man.
It's
I
like
would love to do that.
I always have problems when driving in other countries. Like when we went on our vacation, we had to drive through Austria,
Yeah.
we had to drive through Italy, and you're on the highway there, and it feels so slow. Everyone is like, "Ugh." And here in Germany, you just go nuts, man. Well, however
It's
fast.
so crazy to me, dude. It's so
Yeah.
crazy. But like, there's not a lot of accidents either there, right?
No, we don't
It's-
have. We have actually one of the least accidents in across Europe. Other statistics in other countries, the accident statistics are way higher.
yeah, U.S. is crazy. I mean, there's just like accidents. Like,
Man,
just
I
right
love
down
the
street,
US,
there's
but you
almost
guys
accident every
can't
day.
drive cars. It's like literally you have no idea how to drive cars. It's
There's a lot of idiots out there that
Yeah.
it's just like they're out for the problem is they're just out for themselves. They don't care about anybody else on the road, and it's just like I'm just doing my thing, and everybody get out of my way,
yeah.
right? And that's just the way a lot of people drive here, man.
Hmm.
It's infuriating.
And that's slow. It's like
Yeah,
you have such amazing highways with like the big lanes, our lanes are significantly
yeah, but
narrower,
in the cities. There's always clogged with traffic.
Yeah,
There's so much
and
traffic
and
here, man.
but yeah, it just feels slow, man. For a German, it feels slow because we just go nuts. Or like driving 200 kilometers an hour on the autobahn is no problem, man.
Yeah,
Really
man,
not.
I would love to. I would love to do it. A lot of the cars here, they have the chips on them though to like govern them down to like 120 or 110 miles an hour or something though.
How much is
So
that?
I
110.
I
You
don't know
have
what
to.
that is in kilometers.
I got 110 miles per hour.
We're doing the conversion.
Yeah. It's 170 kilometers an hour. Yeah, man, that's like it's before I get warm,
Really? Wow.
There are like vacations you can book here in Germany. I know a lot of people from Japan do that. You can come here, you get like a hotel and a Porsche for 2 days just to drive on the autobahn, and then you go like 250 and go for it, and just have fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna come visit. I'm going to Gamescom next year just so I can
Awesome.
rent a supercar and just drive my ass off on the autobahn.
We will do that, man. We will do that. But we have to get away from Cologne because around Cologne you're always stuck in traffic. But then we will take you on a ride here, man.
Right on.
John TJ sends in $5 and says, "I want an online experience like Forza Motorsport 4." Yeah, they are ditching the driver tasks. I think that will change a lot of the experiences, and for the online, let's see how good it will be. 4 definitely was a great one. That was the last one on the 360, right? Not that I'm mixing up. Because that was a fun one.
5 was Xbox One.
5 was Xbox, yeah. So it was the last one on 360.
So,
yeah. That was a fun one. Yeah.
I don't know if 5 was on both. I'm not sure.
Could be that it was cross-gen. I don't know.
I'd have to go back and look.
All right. Man, since we are on previews, you know what other game got a preview this week? Assassin's Creed
Mm.
Mirage. Have you seen any
Oh
of
yeah.
those?
Yeah, man, it's looking like classic Assassin's Creed, right?
Yeah.
I'm down for it. I know that some Assassin's Creed fans are thinking, "Oh, I like the open world, big, huge,
Mm,
RPG Assassin's Creeds," but like, this is more my alley.
mm,
There's so many damn big games, dude.
yeah.
Like, I'm looking forward to playing Assassin's Creed that I have the time to maybe get through, right? But
Yeah.
we'll see. I think it's going to be a lot of it depends on how good the story is and stuff like that. Also with this game, so I'm really curious on those elements.
Mm,
And but gameplay wise, it's like what I've been hoping for so far.
yeah. I mean, I was actually really surprised about the previews because it became popular to hate on Ubisoft games. Yeah. And
Yeah,
I actually like the Ubisoft
for
games.
good reason though. Lately, like it's not just like
Really?
I,
People
I
always
think.
bring that up, but
No,
let
I
me.
think Ubisoft makes great games. The problem is that they are not releasing enough of the kinds of games that they should, I think.
Yeah,
And
that's
that's my
true.
main issue.
That's true. But Ubisoft always tries to chase trends. But if you
That's the
like,
problem.
and
Yeah.
instead of trying to create your own trend, and the problem really is with those development times of 5+ years, you can't chase trends. If you decide now to make the next Fortnite,
Yep.
in 5 years, something else is the trend, and that's
Yeah.
just the thing about Ubisoft.
Yeah, they hit like one thing. It's like, hey, that worked great. We have to force this into all of
Yeah,
our games now, right? And that's
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
what they have done in the past. But like, yeah, you're right, 100%. Now they have so much talent and make great quality
yeah,
games and great games, and I love Ubisoft games too.
yeah,
The problem is that they've gotten so much like experimenty with these things lately that they aren't doing the games that they should be doing. Instead, they keep experimenting and canceling stuff and all this other
yeah.
stuff. And it's like, just make a freaking Splinter Cell, right? Make a new Rainbow Six, make a
Yeah,
new Ghost Recon,
and the Rayman,
right?
man. I want a new Rayman.
Right, yeah, Rayman, like so many different things, right?
Yeah,
And I that's where I've kind of lost it a little bit with them. Instead, they're making like 10 Assassin's Creed games, right? And then experimenting on all these live service games,
yeah.
right? So that's my issue with them. However, uh, a lot of the stuff that they're doing in those look pretty good, right? So
Indeed. I mean, the the new Assassin's Creed. Say something, a few things on it in a second. It looks good. I look forward to Avatar. It looks fun. It looks good visually, very good, and I like the
yeah,
first person traversal games like Dying Light. I love that. I love Mirror's Edge. These I'm looking forward to that, and the new Star Wars is coming next year. What is it called? Star Wars
Outlaws
Outlaws
looks
looks
awesome.
phenomenal.
It does.
Yeah, I can't wait for the Splinter Cell remake. I actually enjoy the Assassin's Creed games, also the big
Mhm.
RPG ones. I absolutely loved Odyssey. Valhalla was
Yeah,
also good, but Odyssey was like chef's kiss. I enjoyed it
yeah,
a lot, and I thought Watch Dogs 3 was really good. Like what they did with the sandbox in London was absolutely awesome, and I also enjoyed Immortals: Phoenix Rising. Very different Ubisoft kind of game, more like Breath of the Wild, and they make good games. They have their misses as well, of course,
Mhm.
but yeah, and
I mean, they don't ever really make anything that's like that bad, right? It's
yeah,
just like there's not enough of the things that I want, but like their
mm,
quality is usually really good.
that's true.
The Crew Motorfest is people are loving it right now, right? As far as what I've seen, which is another title that they just launched, but it's a little too copycat of Horizon for
Yeah,
me. So it's interesting there.
yeah.
Yeah, I got a question for you. Do they have any of these games? Do they have Mirage or what's the other game? Avatar at Gamescom?
No, uh,
Ubisoft wasn't there at all,
they
were they?
they only had Motorfest there.
Okay.
I was talking to the guy at the booth who was like, guys, what's going on? You have like two major games coming this year. Yeah, Mirage and Avatar, and all you have is Motorfest. And they had That's not true. They had a second game, the Assassin's Creed mobile. What is it? Jade.
Oh
Assassin's
yeah.
Creed Jade. They had the mobile
hmm
game as well, but the line was like 5 hours plus or so.
Oh
I
geez.
didn't bother to check that out. I'm not that into mobile games, so
Yeah.
yeah. I was surprised about that. Motorfest showed really well. Actually, I was looking at this like, okay, this is a copycat of Forza Horizon 5. But it looked promising, honestly.
Yeah. I played I was in one of the insider things on that and
Yeah.
played a early beta of it,
Mhm.
and it's a solid game. Like I just think it was crazy the opening sequence, how Horizon it was.
Yeah.
It was like blatantly like this is Horizon, this is our Horizon.
Yeah.
Which is different than the other crews. They
Yep.
really differentiated this one. Now it's different because it's even more arcadey than Horizon is. There's
Yeah.
already loops and stuff and loop de loops, and you can drive bikes and ATVs and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But so it's got its own flavor, but it's a well built game, and it's fun to drive, and I think it's going to be a decent game for them.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, So Shady in the chat also mentioned the Prince of Persia game, which some people were
Mm.
down on that at the when it was revealed at the last time, but I actually thought it looked awesome.
It looked
Like the
fantastic.
2D
I
Prince of
love
Persia looked
2D
great.
platformers, and it looked fantastic.
hmm
I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Um,
Assassin's Creed, it looks good too. I'm just jaded because they skipped a whole generation of Splinter Cell, and
yeah,
I can't forgive them.
yeah.
I can't
I'm
forgive them
kind of
for
with
that.
you. I don't get that because everyone wants a new Splinter Cell. This is like the most requested game from them, and they let that IP basically sleep and die. Yeah.
And then
There's
Fox, though, even worse, right? They robbed us of something because we've all been time we find out Ubisoft is going to be at a show or Ubisoft has a show. The
yeah,
conversation is Splinter Cell going to be there? Are we going to
yeah,
have the three green lights and the sound?
yeah,
And is that going to happen? Are we going to get that moment? But when they announced Splinter Cell remake, they did it in a blog post.
yeah,
Like, how are you going to have one of the most wanted games from people announced in a blog post like that?
yeah.
That people even forgot about it. There was like several people
So yeah,
today that still don't even know that Splinter Cell remake is happening,
yeah.
right? And it's just I don't get it, man. It just
Me
doesn't make
neither.
sense.
Sometimes Ubisoft can be such a weird company. And can you imagine that there's now basically a whole generation of gamers that grew up like when they were 10 when the last Splinter Cell came out? They're 20 now and they have no idea what a Splinter Cell game is. It's like,
Yep.
if you think about that, makes me sad.
Yeah, they'll say, "Oh, is that the guy from those from the
Yeah.
DLC and Ghost Recon,
The
or is that the
retro
guy?
game.
Is that the guy that made the appearance in that mobile game?
Yes.
Or the
The guy from Fortnite.
right? Is that guy?
Good lord. Pyromat at with a $2 £2 super chat. Beyond Good and Evil is vaporware. Changed my mind. Man, it's been getting quiet around that game. There was like 6 years ago when they announced Beyond Good and Evil with that CGI trailer. I want to say 6 years at least, and no updates. Also, one of the fan favorites, Beyond Good and Evil 1, is fantastic game. But we have no idea what Beyond Good and Evil 2 is gonna be, whether it still exists. No
Yeah.
idea. And that's a game.
Skull and Bones. What the hell?
They should just cancel that, man.
Yeah. So they missed the mark on the obvious. It's like they don't.
Yeah.
It's like here's the problem. Ubisoft like misses the obvious, and they experiment with these other things, and it's like they don't. And some of those things never launch or whatever, and
Yeah.
they kind of mess around with them for years and years and different iterations. Like, oh, we'll just give up on it, and then it's like the obvious things that we know, and I know. The thing is, like, I had a friend that worked for them, right? So like I know about some of the stuff that was said in some of the meetings and stuff like that, and I know that there's people that wanted to make these games, right?
Okay.
But the reason they didn't because of the monetization schemes,
Hmm.
right? And like not being able to figure out how to monetize it to the way that would make sense for them to be able to make it worthwhile working on those projects. I
Maybe.
think they've slightly gotten away from that, but I think seeing games out there that have been massively successful, single player are like games or that have no
Yeah.
monetization in them, just absolutely lift companies up to the
Yeah.
stratosphere. Like Elden Ring is like what it did for Bandai Namco, right? And
Even
what was
EA
the
had an epiphany with the Jedi Survival games. Hey. Yeah.
yeah? There's several different. I mean, what was one of the what was the other best selling games this year? There was like some single. There's a
Hogwarts
lot of single player
Legacy.
ones. Yeah, I
Hogwarts
mean that
Legacy.
none of
Yeah.
that in there, and it just
Yeah.
sold like crazy, right?
Yeah.
And Starfield, like
Yeah.
there's none of that really in Starfield either,
Baldur's
right?
Gate.
So Baldur's Gate 3, yeah,
Yeah.
perfect example, right? There's nothing there,
Nothing.
and it was getting like 850,000 plus concurrent players on
On Steam.
Steam, dude.
Yeah.
And and seeing these companies have these successes with games that, well, oh, I guess we don't have to have some kind of ongoing money making scheme behind the entire concept of our game
Hmm.
has hopefully been eye opening for some of these companies, right?
Yeah, I agree.
And knowing those conversations that took place is the reason why we weren't getting games like Splinter Cell. It was infuriating to me, right? It's just like you had something there and you put it if you put it the quality and you put the attention and the passion and make something amazing, not everything's gonna hit,
Mm.
right? But a lot of times the games are gonna sell and just get back to making good games and worry about that first,
Yeah,
right? And I
exactly.
think the companies that have done that are being the most successful now.
Besides that, I feel like a lot of I totally agree. Yeah, but I feel like also a lot of gamers have become more sick of those games as a service and
Yeah.
microtransactions than like 5 years ago. When you look at games like Justice League, yeah, and the backlash it got, it was all around it being a games as a service title. People have no intention of playing those anymore. Or, well, to some degrees, because we all have our games as a service title, our ongoing game that we go to. We don't need like 10 others. We want those start finish experiences, and they have become a lot of more successful over the last 2-3 years than they have been like 5 years ago. And yeah, so I agree. Just
Yeah,
make
the
a
other
damn
thing
good
too,
game.
like
Yeah.
these games, even though they're like single player or whatever, like they have longer lives now because the console cycles are longer,
Yeah.
right? But not only that, like you have subscriptions and stuff, and you have games get supported with like quality of life updates or graphical improvements that as well over time that add longevity. People go back and play older games now more than ever,
Yeah.
right? Because they're better than they were back then, right?
Yeah.
Because we have better hardware, they give better updates, they do FPS boosts, or they do this, or
Yeah.
they do that, and it gives us a reason to on console go back and enjoy a lot of these games. And I feel like what was it like a couple months ago? Like all these old Call of Duties just started selling like
Yeah.
crazy just because they turned the servers back on, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, you see that a lot these days with some games that either they release in Game Pass or they get like the next gen update or like just turning on the servers where people. I remember Division 2. You remember that when they dropped the next gen patch and
Yeah.
more people were playing it than at launch, and it is just
Yeah, and we got to give Ubisoft credit for that too, right? Because they didn't charge for those updates, right?
yeah.
And they gave the updates for free, which ended up being amazing, and they benefited from it too, right?
Yeah, indeed. Everyone was buying the DLCs that have been out for a long time, actually.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah. Dude, we were playing so much Division 2 on our channel. Like we became like a Division 2 streaming channel for like 6 months, bro. After that update, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I played a lot myself too. That was I
Yeah, but
actually
like,
Division
where's
was also
Division 3,
three.
man? They
Where
keep
is
dicking
it?
around.
Yeah,
They keep dicking around with Heartland, and it's like, well, it's the
yeah,
insiders keep testing this and that, and the betas and this, and the insiders and the betas, and we'll release
yeah.
videos of the insiders and the beta testers talking about their how much they like it. But then you hear bad things when the people actually behind the scenes, played it. I've actually played one of the insider things for Heartland. I played one or all three different ones for X Defiant and stuff, but like these things, like it's like just enough talk about and trying, experimenting and stuff. Just like make the games and let's play them and see how they are.
Indeed, indeed. You know who else makes a lot of games? Nintendo.
Oh
And,
yeah.
and they had the Nintendo Direct earlier.
Hmm.
Don't know. Yeah. Well, we talked about it in the green room. Yeah, you watched it. So
Yeah. I watched through. I skipped some of the trailers I didn't care about. There
yeah.
was some good stuff there. No news.
Well,
No new Switch.
no new Switch. There is a rumor
Not yet.
though. There's a
Yeah.
rumor though about the hardware specs out there, and it's apparently a very trustworthy source. The source leaked a lot of the original Switch things, and they said that the hardware should be able to run Zelda Breath of the Wild in 4K 60 with ray tracing enabled. Looks like it's gonna have 12 gigabytes of RAM, NVIDIA chip again, DLSS. It's the
Yeah.
rumor. That's the rumor. So
Yeah, I mean, I think with a lot of the tech behind NVIDIA and what they're doing, if it takes advantage of all those things, they'll be able to do a lot
yeah,
more with the games, right? I just hope my hope with it is that there's some kind of compatibility with the original Switch games, and they do updates on
yes,
those, but it's just not Nintendo style. They were gonna want to probably charge for a lot of that stuff. So,
that's the
um,
Nintendo way to do it. At
yeah, I
least compatibility. I mean, they have like one of the most successful consoles ever with the
yeah,
Switch. Yeah, what are they now? 130 million or so units sold.
a
Um,
ton.
ton, like top three consoles ever. You kind of can't let this player base go. So I would expect the Switch 2 to have cartridges again, and I don't think they will do the updates and then Switch 2 updates to their
Yeah,
games. That's not Nintendo, but at least make the compatibility a thing.
yeah, for
Uh,
sure. Maybe have an upscale resolution feature built in on the hardware, right?
yeah,
So, these games that were running at 720 or lower, get improvements there. I'm gonna be day one on whatever the next Switch is because I've hated this hardware
yeah.
personally, but I've liked a lot of the games, right?
Hmm.
So the compatibility for me is gonna be a huge thing. But there was some good stuff at the show. They had some Mario things there. They had like a Luigi's Mansion. They had I think Paper Mario
Yeah.
was there at the end. They had a Mario versus Donkey Kong thing there. They had my standouts was the Tactics RPG, the Unicorn
Hmm.
Overlord, I think is what it's called, from Atlas. I'm unclear if that's exclusive or not to the Switch.
Wasn't sure about
So
it either, but I didn't pay too much attention because I'm not a big Atlas fan. So
yeah.
um, Princess Peach,
Hmm.
what is Showtime? Actually stood out to me as the most exciting thing. But overall, I didn't. I get that a lot of Nintendo fans are excited for those kind of games that they have shown, like um, the more quirky Nintendo IPs. I'm a fan of the classic Zeldas, the Metroids, and Mario, classic Mario's. I didn't have much of that. The new the new wave of tracks for Mario Kart 8,
Hmm.
something I'm looking forward to. I'm playing Mario Kart a lot with my kids.
Yeah.
Um, Paper Mario, yeah, but then it's the GameCube version, which was probably the worst. F Zero was like, dude, new F Zero, but then it
Yeah.
I don't know. It looks like the Super Nintendo version. The Tomb Raider 1 to 3 pardon me, remasters are coming, but they did actually nothing to them. So I was honestly a bit underwhelmed. I would have thought that they show at least one thing. Mario RPG, where's that? I'm looking forward to that remaster because that's an actual remaster make,
Yeah, yeah,
where
yeah.
they actually do something to the game, like they did with Zelda, a Link, not to the past. What was it on the island?
Majora's Mask.
Not Majora's Mask.
Um,
From the Game Boy, from the original Game
I
Boy.
know what you're talking about. I can't think.
Yeah.
My only Zelda game I've ever truly loved is Ocarina of Time.
Oh,
So.
really?
Mhm.
Really? There are so many good ones.
I
A
mean, I
Link to the
like
Past is my
some of them,
favorite, probably. In between
Yeah.
Link to the Past and Ocarina of Time. But I feel like Twilight Princess is one of the most underrated Zeldas. Twilight Princess was also really, really good. That's one Zelda game that they could bring to the Switch or maybe Switch 2 now. But
yeah, they've
then
done.
they did Skyward
They do
Sword.
so many. They do so many like lazy like ports
Yeah.
of just resolution boost, to a lot of their games, and
The one port they did really well was Metroid 1. Metroid Prime 1. Yeah. That was a really great port. Like, they did a lot to the frame rates, to the resolution. The game looked and ran really like you would expect. And they didn't even sell it as a full price title. It was only $40. Not a $70 game. So
Wind Waker, was it Wind Waker?
God, no. It was not Wind Waker. Hang on. Now I need to Google that in the other browser here.
They had Skyward Sword. They did a remaster, a resolution boost and remastered to that. But
Link's Awakening.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Link's Awakening. Yeah. Yeah, that was like, it came out on the original Game Boy. And it looked like the original Game Boy, obviously, and they completely did that in a new engine, and that looked really well. If they would do more remakes like that, like with Metroid, and now what they do with Mario RPG, that's something I can get into and can get excited. But usually they just uppress, and that's what they announced today, like Tomb Raider 1 to 3. Are you gonna play that seriously? I don't know.
No, I'm not. Here's the thing: like, there's so many like weird stuff that happens and gets released on the Switch.
Oh yeah.
That I'm just like, I get the reasons because there's so many of them out there. These companies have an excuse and reason why they want to do it, because they can do these ports or do these things and not have to spend a crap ton of money, and then they get 130 million potential people that a fraction of those are going to pick it up, right? So it's going to be an easy cash grab for some of those things.
Yeah.
That's kind of what happens sometimes with Nintendo, is like you get a lot of shovelware or cash grabby type stuff show up on it. That's going to be the worst experience. A worst way to play this game is on that, right? But it's there, and it's a popular game, so some people are going to get it. And some companies are going to do better than others at making it a good experience. So I think some have done decent job with it, but the stuff like this doesn't do anything for me. But Batman Arkham trilogy's on there now. You got Red Dead Redemption going to went to Switch, and all these things are like, it's not like where, if it was a better hardware, I would be more excited. Cool, awesome handheld version of that game, of those games.
Yeah.
But crappy handheld version of those games, I'm not gonna really get excited for it. So maybe when they do more of this stuff on the next Switch, I'll be more interested in the ports and the remasters. It's not a remaster if it's on a Switch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like a remaster should be, or like hopefully a port that comes out years later after the original game should hopefully be pushing things forward for the game, not backwards.
I know what you mean. I mean, the hardware is holding a lot of things back on the Switch. That's
Yeah.
for sure. There was a time where the Switch was probably my most played console for a while, and it was like the months before the pandemic. I had to travel so much for work at the time, so I was playing like crazy on the handheld, the only handheld I had at the time, and I think that makes it, at least for me, a lot more difficult for the Switch too, because I love that it's like this hybrid console, and I really like the portability of it. But now I have the Ally, and on the Ally I can play like all my games when they come out at launch, not like Red Dead Redemption 9 years after it came to, or what, 12 years after it came to the Xbox 360. I can now play it on the Switch. That's really the thing. Yeah, The Witcher came out 5 years after it's launched on the Switch, and still bought it and finished it there too. But the thing is, now I have another handheld, the handheld that I can play the Starfield. You know, come home, continue it on the console, and then play it again on the go. I can't do that with the Switch, so. The Switch 2, at least for me personally, will have it a little bit harder. I will still buy it day one. I'm part of the Nintendo problem. I still buy their stuff. Even though I don't like a lot of things that they do.
Yeah.
When the next
I
Mario
love
comes
games,
out,
you know.
Yeah, me too. And when the next Mario comes out, and Metroid 4, and Zelda, and so on. Of course, I'm gonna buy the Switch too.
Yeah, it'll be. I mean, I just want it to look good on a big screen TV, right? Like that's once they're there for me, I'm happy. I don't expect their games to be like groundbreaking graphically, fidelity, and all that kind of stuff. I don't expect that ever from Nintendo, you know. But like, I do want them to be solid, and especially the third party games, like not be a huge downgrade, right? And that's that's like the main thing. And I think this next device will be that answer. So I'm 100%. It's just this generation for Nintendo was like my most frustrating part, because they've been in a transitional period, transitioning to a solo device as opposed to a console and a handheld. Right? Because they've lived in two worlds, right?
Yeah.
Now they transitioned to they're living in one world, where for me it was like it was better for the handheld gamer this generation, like, but for the console gamer it was like a little bit of a slap in the face for me, right? So it was like, okay, it didn't really push things forward. In fact, I felt like the Wii U, hardware wise, not game wise and all that stuff, but hardware wise, was a better device than the Switch was. But like, you know, obviously short lived. They didn't support it, and didn't sell, right? So this new device was for handheld gamers to be able to dock it and have that console experience as well. But if you were looking for the next console from Nintendo, for me, that was the big letdown this gen. But I feel like this technology is probably going to be to the place now where it makes more sense with the next device. So I'm looking forward to it, and I just had to get through this phase. And right now, the Switch is just my Vampire Survivors machine. That's what it is. Play a game. I do not give a crap what it looks like, or play it handheld and all that kind of stuff.
I mean, my kids are playing a lot on the Switch, obviously, with Mario Kart and such games. It's just perfect for my boys are 5 and 7, so it's perfect for that age. I myself, the last game I played was, of course, Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. Great game. Had a blast playing it. But I actually played most of it in handheld mode, because it's like you said, on the big screen, it just hurts, you know.
Yeah. I bought Xenoblade Chronicles 2 at launch, and I couldn't read the damn dialogue on the screen. You know what I mean? It was like, so it was frustrating, you know, like I just hear and I'm like, what does that say? I can't see it. I'm an old man, you know, and have an issue with a brand new game coming out like that. It's
Yeah, yeah. I feel you, man. I feel you. So yeah, let's move on to some other news. Have you seen the discourse around the Unity engine this week?
Oh yeah, bad
Yeah.
stuff. Unity's in trouble, I think. Right
I
now.
think so too.
Yeah.
Their stock dropped significantly. A lot of today there was a big accusation that the CEO, forgot his name, actually sold most of his shares and parts of the company before they announced that thing. So yeah, for those who didn't see it, Unity, of course, is popular engine out there. Very similar like Unreal. You can basically use it for free. And they changed their monetization model. And the big outcry was that it is around the new monetization model is basically charging developers by the amount of downloads of their game. And that is, of course, nuts, because if I think about Starfield now, I have Starfield alone installed now on 3 machines. Yeah? My Xbox, PC, and Ally. So by that logic, Microsoft would have to pay 3 times the fee, but I only got the game once. Yeah, and of course, a lot of people play games like that. You install them, uninstall it, re-download it, and every time the developers are supposed to pay a fee to Unity. So it's not like with Unreal, where you have like you have to at least make at least 1 million in revenue before you have to pay anything, and after that you have to pay a certain amount of the revenue that you generate with the game. There's a big outcry. A lot of other policies changed as well, but I think that was the main part where a lot of developers are now very unhappy. In Exile, have you seen I love the social team of In Exile. They also came out like, okay, now we have to pay fees for a game that we released 10 years ago. So, yeah, it is. Well, what do you make of this thing with Unity?
See, I think they're trying to do something different, and it was a dumb idea.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know who came up with it, but like, I think sometimes sticking with status quo, like for way business models work in the industries, is sometimes the safest way to go. If you're doing something, trying to be original and unique on something, but like don't explain it very well. Who knows exactly what the end result is for some of these developers and how much they have to pay versus the other options. Right. But like without proper explanation, and it can really be a bad PR and lead companies down a horrible spiral. It happened to Xbox back with the original launch of the Xbox One, with their confusion about not being able to explain all the DRM stuff and how all that stuff was going to work, and people were having questions, and they were kind of like wishy-washy on stuff. And if you have something that's going to be kind of different, right, and going to shake things up, and you have to be 100% clear and concise and sell the benefits of it, as opposed to just tell people this is our new thing. This is here's the things, and you can just run rampant with your thoughts on it and without any kind of direction from us. So today they actually tried to clarify things on the website, but I think it just added to more confusion and stuff, with people not really thinking it's still a good idea. So I don't know how much impact it has, like with some of the companies, but I do know that based on what they're saying is and how they're doing it, some of the biggest indie games, right, are going to be the ones impacted the most.
Yes, exactly.
And they may not be able to financially afford potentially to release their games using Unity, if that and make the kind of money they would have made otherwise. So they have to make those decisions now, right? Like,
Yeah.
as Hollow Knight, games like that, Cult of the Lamb, games that are downloaded by millions and millions and millions of gamers, right? To charge the fee based on amount of installs, especially on a like you to your point, like to charge per install on multiple devices. Those are games that like people may install on 3 or 4 different machines, and
Yeah.
to charge them independently for each one, I don't know if that's the way to go. Now,
There are a lot of
they have
examples out there. Look, free to play
yeah.
games. What do you do with those? Yeah, like 100,000 people install your free to play game, but
Yeah.
only 1,000 of those actually spend in game money. But you
So
have to pay for 100,000 installs.
did you see their post today? So
Which one?
they have a post kind of explaining things on
Ah,
it,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so they have a little bit of information on that stuff. It's they said they break down it. They said web and streaming games. We're not going to count web and streaming games, but that doesn't say free to play, right? So
Yeah.
they say trials, partial play demos, and automated automation install charges. They're not going to count those. Fraudulent install charges. I don't even know what that means. Reinstall charges. They're not going to charge if you uninstall it and reinstall it. God, thank God. That would be
Thank
even crazier
God.
because
Yeah.
because how many times I do that is insane.
Yeah.
Um, and then it says how we define and count installs. It says assuming the install and revenue thresholds are met. So basically, they're saying that 10% of developers are going to be impacted by this because they have to meet a certain standard, right,
Yeah.
of sales to be able to meet that. It says we will only count net new installs on any device. Additionally, developers are not responsible for paying a runtime fee on these other things. So it says fee on new installs only. Once you meet the 2 install and revenue thresholds, you only pay the runtime fee on new installs after January 1st. It's not perpetual. You only have to pay once for an install, not an ongoing perpetual license royalty like a revenue share model. So I don't know. I think I think this is scaring developers.
Yes.
Um, and I don't know. I think they got a U-turn on this, dude. I think they got to
Yes.
I think they got to be like,
Agreed.
look, we've heard you, and we know that you don't like it, and we're going to do things status quo for now, and maybe we'll tweak some things in the future,
Yeah.
right? Like that's what they should come out and do because I think that's their only way out right now.
I
Like,
agree.
and it's not just for the consumer end, like our end, or like oh, what's going on Unity? Like it's the developers that are using it that are freaking out,
And
right?
that's the problem for your engine at the very end. If developers are scared to use your engine because you have a weird ass monetization model, it's your loss. And I feel like the engine market needs more competition right now. Because if we
Yeah,
look at the non-proprietary engines, so leaving like the Frostbites and whatnot out of this, yeah, engines that are publicly available like Unreal and Unity, there are not that many out anymore. And Unity was the biggest, probably the biggest competitor in terms of public engines to Unreal out there. And as cool as Unreal is, and absolutely a fantastic engine, no doubt. I like competition out there. Yeah, and we have now CryEngine, the Unity and Unreal sharing this market, and Unity basically just put the coffin in their nail, the nail in their coffin. This is not good, and it's not good for the general engine market itself. So I definitely hope that they try to course correct that, but it feels to me at least like a lot of damage has already been done. Yeah, so
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I will see,
we shall
man.
see.
They got to have a huge PR turnaround, bro. I think
Indeed.
they need to get with some of the bigger developers that are behind some of these games and have
Mm.
them, like come out and be like, "Hey, this is why it's gonna work for us," or something, right?
Yeah.
If they're not freaking out, which I'm assuming they are, so
Yeah.
they probably won't work. Because if I was a maker, Silk Song's about to release either later this
Yes.
year or early next year, right? And that's going to be like one of the biggest indie games ever.
Yeah.
And like they got to be looking at this like, oh shit, how many installs are we going to have?
Yeah.
You know, like I don't know, it's weird.
It is. It absolutely is. Especially since they started the development of that game on a completely different premise. I'm not even sure if that's honestly legal. Like, you have invested now. How long has Silksong been in development? 4 years, 5 years?
Several years, yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know.
So you have invested 4 or 5 years in developing your game. Spent I don't know how much money during that time in the development, and now you have a complete different monetization model.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure if that's legal. We should ask one of our lawyer friends there. But yeah. So we shall see if they will try to course correct that chip. Didn't sound like it today.
No, it sounded like, hell, here's why it's
Why it's good.
Here's information,
Yeah.
or you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah. So yeah, let's see where this story will end for Unity. One last thing before we go to our final community questions, man. Embracer, have you seen that this week?
yeah, Gearbox might be up
exactly.
there, huh?
Yeah, I mean they responded with a reply to the rumor saying, hang on, where I lost it. There it is. Many options are under consideration, including taking the studio independent.
Yeah.
That was
I don't know what's going to be the best solution for them because I don't think Microsoft would be interested if Randy Pitchford's involved. They would have to have him agree to not come along or to not be involved after the.
I mean, they could get them and fire him.
Yeah,
but
I mean they could.
Yeah.
I guess, right? So I'm curious what this Gearbox situation is. It sounds like they want to go independent, possibly. There's supposedly be third-party interest. I think Xbox would be a decent fit if the price was right as well. But I'm curious on how much value they'll bring to whoever acquires them, because like they really honestly only have Borderlands going for them.
Yeah.
And I mean the last one was a success. They got spin-offs and stuff, and I think they're a talented
Tiny
studio.
Tina was actually a fun game. I mean, when people always talk about these in these discussions, Xbox should buy this company or that publisher or that developer. I mean, we've seen how Xbox looks at these kind of acquisitions. So, what do they offer in terms of to our portfolio? Do they fit in? Where can we develop? Is there a realistic chance to develop the studio into something that we need, like Ninja Theory, for instance? Yeah, they build a new studio for them, financed the new mocap equipment and everything, and they try to develop them into their Naughty Dogs, So that's one thing to go, and the other thing is, of course, like, does it help us on PC? Does it help us on mobile or on cloud or segments we want to grow? And I feel like Borderlands would actually make sense for them, because Borderlands could be developed into an ongoing game for Game Pass, that is continued. I mean, it already is basically set as a game that can be played with this repetitive loop, and if you would support that better, it could have a good longevity on Game Pass, like a State of Decay and Sea of Thieves and whatnot. And it's running on Unreal Engine, that also fits in there. So in theory, I would say, okay, it could make sense for them, of course. But it really depends on, not just how fast they can close actually ABK and be able to actually make moves again. But of course, Gearbox going independent and what's his name? You just said Pitchford.
Randy. Yeah,
Randy Pitchford.
Good old cocaine Randy.
Yeah.
Gotta love him. Cocaine and porn. That's what he's all about.
He's definitely the guy that I could see just trying to run an independent Gearbox, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, imagine, okay, Xbox gets Gearbox, they kick out
yeah.
Randy Pitchford. Xbox gets ABK, they kick out Bobby Kotick. Now Bobby and Randy go start a studio together. Yeah.
Who would run it, man? Who would run it? There's two alpha dogs in one room.
Men. It would be ran by men, and it'd be called Man Cave Studios, and there would just be like it'd be like Wolf of Wall Street in that sucker. You know, like it'd just be crazy, dude. Cocaine and whores everywhere. Just, like there'd be so many
there would
many violations at that company.
They would never release a game. It would only be like
they just use all their investors' money just to invest in parties and stuff. Yeah.
So
crazy.
Yeah, indeed.
Did you get the shipment of cocaine in here? Let's go. Bring it
in. Yep. Definitely. Pyromat says liquor and hose. Yeah. That's the Pitchfork lifestyle. Definitely.
Yeah. They're actually Gearbox is located here, near me, which is pretty funny.
Yeah.
There's actually a museum there that he's kind of invested in. I used to love Randy Pitchford back in the day. I don't really know if I have any issues with him now or whatever. It's just fun. It's just funny some of the stuff that's come out. But he used to sell a game better than anybody. Back in Brothers in Arms and stuff. I remember hearing him do the commentary back in the day, and like how excited he was talking about the games. And he did the same thing about Borderlands and stuff too. It's like, man, this guy really cares, and he's like excited for this game. It's like, I'm interested in it. And
wasn't he the guy that did like magic tricks on stage, or what was it? Strauss Zelnick. I always get confused. There was either one of those two. Was doing like close-up magic tricks on stage and crazy shit like that. So let's see. Actually, I like Borderlands. But Embracer, man, is like it's. I don't know. I think they try to do too much. You can tell with them buying up from Square, Eidos Montreal, and Crystal Dynamics, and so on. And if you look at their portfolio, what they used to do, it was like smaller games, AA games, and now they have games like Tomb Raider out there, and they have these big franchises, and it just feels like they try to do too much and can't handle it anymore. They can't handle an IP like Lord of the Rings, and then they are going to Xbox with Crystal to develop Perfect Dark, and they do. Go to Amazon with Lord of the Rings and stuff, and now they're trying to sell off the only like bigger IP that they had with Gearbox. It's like they did try to do too much, man. I'm
interested to see. Maybe 2K would be a good fit because they have a big history with the Borderlands franchise. Also, they also have individual publishing divisions, like private division there, so they could bring Gearbox in and be another publisher group under 2K or Take-Two or whatever. So that could be an interesting fit if they do that. Whoever gets them is getting some talented people that can make some fun-ass games, right? So
definitely.
Or if they go independent, they could do wonders for themselves, right? If I was them, that's what I would want to do, right? Because they have a history with publishing some good games, and they also have a very successful franchise, right? So
that is true. But then on the other hand, in this day and age, it is, especially as a AAA studio, absolutely hard in the independent area, because you have to finance the game that you want to make for years before you make any return of investment, and you have to bring up hundreds of millions of dollars to make like these blockbuster games. So being independent in 2023 in the AAA space is also kind of challenging, man.
Yep. I mean, you can saw the Immortal, like making AAA game challenging, right? Like Immortals of Avium, they had to lay off half their staff.
And they
the
had
developers.
EA backing them.
Yep.
Yeah. So
well, EA is also they also ended support for what's the Monster Hunter game they released?
Yeah.
Oh geez, I can't remember the name of it. I just saw this not too long ago. Yeah, Wild Hearts.
Wild Hearts.
Yeah, Wild Hearts. Yeah, they're ending support for that 7 months after that
It
game
came
launched.
out. Yeah.
And also, the Ascendant Studios, the developers of Immortals at Avium, are having to lay off half of its staff because of poor sales. So it's tough, man. It's tough to launch these new IPs and have these new studios come and try and make a name for themselves.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely. Absolutely. John TJ sends in a $5 super chat and says, Xbox buys Gearbox. They also get the people they made Saints Row because they got merged into Gearbox so they can make a true crime game. Yeah, right. There was something.
Volition's getting shut down too.
Yeah. He's got a point there. It's a bunch of talented people that they have over there. I think any publisher can be lucky to have such a talented studio. And it just feels with Xbox
if they would Saints Row making
if the damn CMHs would get their head out of their ass and approve the deal so that Xbox can actually make those kind of moves again. Yeah, I'm saying, like, for me personally, the ABK deal isn't the most super exciting thing because I'm not a Call of Duty player, so I'm probably gonna play the campaigns if they come to Game Pass, but that's it. And so Bethesda, for instance, was a much more exciting acquisition for me. I play almost everything that they release, and
well, it's a special studio that can make games that nobody else can
exactly
make, right?
And so we all know that Xbox isn't done with the acquisitions, and that they probably will go not after the next big publisher, but rather buy like individual studios, and like having a Borderlands in the Xbox roster would definitely excite me. Also please get Crytek. God's sakes.
Yeah. Crytek could be great for their tech.
Indeed. But yeah, Mav, at the end of the show, we always read out answer a couple of community questions. Our viewers and listeners can write in usually on Wednesday, either on Twitter or on the Discord here on YouTube, wherever, and ask a couple of questions. The Ninja Squirrel wrote in and asked, Forza Motorsport hype level to both. Where is it?
Probably for me, I would say a 9.82 out of 10. I don't know. Like, I'm extremely excited. The only thing taking away my excitement is knowing I'm gonna have to pull myself away from Starfield. So in a weird way, Starfield is ruining everything else the rest of this year for me because I care less about them because all I want to do is think and play Starfield. However, I've been waiting for Forza Motorsport for years. Looking forward to it. But there's also so much other stuff, man. Like Mortal Kombat 1 and like all this stuff, dude. I don't know what to do because all I want to do is play Starfield, but this is 2023 and there's so many
crazy, man.
games.
That's I mean, it's a good problem to have, but yeah, I mean, I still have to finish Baldur's Gate 3. I'm at the end of Act 2.
Yes.
I definitely want to finish that because it is a fantastic game.
I put 47 hours into Baldur's Gate 3 in Act 1, dude. Like, it's amazing. And I kind of took a break there because like Starfield is coming out, so it's like, okay, I'll get back to that eventually too.
Yeah. So I definitely want to go back. But then Alan Wake comes out, and Assassin's Creed Mirage also comes out. And then we get Spider-Man 2. Looking forward to that as well.
Yeah.
So there's really no shortage in upcoming games. I would say my Forza hype level is somewhere 8.5 to 9.
Yeah.
Simply for the fact that it's not a 10. I'm not the biggest sim racer fan, but this one actually looks really good and exciting. I will definitely play it for the visuals alone. I want to see how it really looks on my OLED and HDR 4K, definitely looking forward to that. But I hope that this campaign mode actually grabs me and pays attention. So I would say somewhere there in that ballpark.
Mm-hmm.
The Unknown 79 writes in, what are your indie game highlights of a Game Pass this year?
That's actually a tough question for me because I've been playing so many like bigger games this year that this year I haven't dabbed into too many of the indie games. So
Yeah.
I would say Sea of Stars is probably the most intriguing for me. As I started and it's awesome, but again, that came out too close to Starfield,
Okay.
so I'm not really getting super into that right now, and I will eventually. Man, indie games. What are some of the biggest indie game releases this year?
So, yeah, it's a good question. I played Ravenlock and I really enjoyed that. I would definitely give that a shout. See what other.
Like last year, I was all over.
Yeah, like you said. Last year I played probably more indie games than AAA games. But this year,
I mean, Vampire Survivors is like, I played a crap ton of that. So I guess that would be my answer, but it's not really overlooked. Like everybody knows about Vampire Survivors. So
that is true. That is true. So yeah, I kind of have to really think because as much as I love indies, there haven't been that many indies this year so far where I said, okay, I'm gonna put down like a Diablo to play that, or a Hogwarts, or Star Wars, and so on. All these amazing games that we've been playing this year. Resident Evil 4 was incredible.
Yeah.
So yeah,
there's this little indie game called Unpacking. I think that came out this year. It may have been last year. I like it's a little silly. You just kind of move stuff around and like organize things and stuff like that. I enjoyed that a little bit. Kind of relaxing game. If it came out this year, then I guess that would be my little gem or whatever. Loop Hero. Well, that wasn't this year. When did that come out? That came out like a long time ago. The last year?
Last year
Loop Hero's
was great.
interesting.
Yeah, that was last year.
Chorus
was last year, dude. Did you play Chorus?
Chorus, yeah, I played some of it, didn't finish it. It's pretty cool. I don't like Starfield. I don't get into a lot of like the ship games like I used to when I was younger. Like it needs more than that for me to really get me hooked in. And like Starfield's perfect because I spend most of my time on land. But like the games I spend like all just constantly flying a ship and stuff, I just don't get into as much. I think Star Fox is maybe the only one I ever really truly loved like that.
Okay. Planet of Lana, right? Pyro in the chat. By the way, he said
haven't touched it yet.
Oh, it was good. Yeah, right. I forgot about that. I actually played that. It was one of my first games I played on the Ally. Actually, that was
I know. Also, the Curious Case of Benedict Cumberbatch. I don't remember the name of the Benedict Fox, whatever.
Right, the Last Case of also good game.
Last Case of Benedict Fox. There you go.
See, I forgot.
I'm old. I knew it was similar. So
yeah, apologies. Right, the Last Case of Benedict. I mean, it wasn't the best indie I played. Probably Planet of Lana would be probably the best I've played. Yeah, how can I forget about that? Because that was actually a really good experience.
Cult of the Lamb was last year, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that was summer last year. I played that summer last year. Somewhere.
Yeah,
That
that
was a
was
fun
good.
one. That was a good one. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I got a bug though that made me lose progress, and that
Mm,
made me mad.
yeah. Carolina Gamer says Bramble. Yeah, I have heard a lot of good things, and I think I have it installed, but I haven't played it.
I Bramble's cool. It's just not my kind of game. It's like
Okay.
you just kind of walk to the next
Yeah.
point and keep going for,
Yeah. So,
interesting.
yeah, interesting question. Dusty says replaced is now 2024. Yeah, that's the thing. Some of the indies I'm actually waiting for, like
Yeah.
Silk Song. We still have to wait for those. And Flintlock also looks fantastic,
Yep.
but still not out. Also coming next year. So yeah, yeah. This year has been crazy for AAA releases, and
Yeah, I've been so preoccupied with those kind of games, it's just like
yeah,
endless amount. I mean, Diablo came out earlier this
yeah.
year, and
Spend a lot of
the
time in that
Baldur's
as well.
Gate, and
Yeah.
Starfield, and
Yeah.
even earlier this year, there's just tons of stuff to play.
Started with Hogwarts Legacy, which was phenomenal. Yeah.
Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah.
Start in January.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. True. That came even before Hogwarts. Yeah.
Yeah, The Age too. Definitive. I mean, I've just been all over the place this year with like big games.
Yeah. Indeed. But talking about this makes me realize I need to play some of these indie games again. But when? The question is when.
I know
With
there's probably something I'm
Starfield.
forgetting about.
Yeah,
That's like
probably.
installed on my Xbox, and
Yeah.
I played a lot of Marvel Snap earlier this year. That's also.
Should probably make a list of games I actually play.
Yeah.
I know some people do that on Twitter with like a continued thread and just post about every game that they finished or played.
Right.
Probably
my
not
finished
the worst
games
idea.
list would be very small. I don't finish a lot of the games.
Really? I'm
a grazer.
Not me. I would say 99% of the games that I play more than 2 hours.
Yeah.
There's like occasionally a game that I don't finish. Like, yeah. I mean, oftentimes I start a game and then just realize, okay, that's not for me. But if I play a game longer than 2 or 3 hours and I decide to actually play it, I finish it. So that's when I say Baldur's Gate, I truly mean it. I will finish Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, I'm gonna finish that for sure.
Yeah. I really have to think about a game that I played longer than 2 or 3 hours and then not finished it. I can't think of one from the top of my head.
It would be very easy for me to say Jedi Survivor. Off the top of my head, I didn't finish it mainly because I was having issues with the quality and performance in that game. And I was like, I know they're going to update it, so I'd rather experience it at a good quality level than not. So they've recently released a lot of updates, so I need to go back into it now. Hogwarts, I haven't finished that either.
Finished it.
I need to go back, man. There's games are too damn big these days. I can't do it.
I rather skip a game than not finish it. If I know I can't finish it, I won't start it. So
see, I like experiencing it. Like still, like, oh, this is what this game's all about. Oh, this is fun. And then it really takes a special game usually to hook me enough to feel motivated. Like I gotta finish this, right? Like I let the game take me there. You know what I mean? And like some of them are not going to do that for me, and some of them are, right? Like 100%, I'm gonna complete Starfield, but I'm taking my time with it because I want to do all the side stuff.
Yeah.
But like Baldur's Gate 3, 100%, I'm gonna finish that because it's amazing, But like I don't know, will I ever finish Jedi Survivor? Maybe, maybe not. Depends on how much it hooks me and makes me motivated to continue the story. Not because I feel like I need to finish it. Like I got to have the game make me feel that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I wonder why you felt about that with Jedi, because I actually, yeah, there were the performance issues, but I thought the game itself was so good that I didn't bother with the frame rate issues and stuff, because the story was good. Like the set pieces were
Yeah.
amazing. They were the combat and the moment to moment action was like phenomenal. I really enjoyed
So
it.
something is because it has this kind of soulsy loop to it. There's certain it's not my favorite mechanic in
Mhm.
games, right? I like a lot of the story elements and some of the level design and the combat, right? But sometimes you could get in like these little stuck spots, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And that happens, and it's not like, "Oh my god, this game is too hard," or anything like that. It's just like it takes my motivation away to where my enjoyment isn't as high. So I'm like, if I stop playing it at that point, I get in this mood. It's like, oh, I wasn't having fun doing that, and that's the
Okay.
next thing I have to go back to do. So it makes me not feel like going back to play it
Hmm.
because I know the next thing I have to go do is something I wasn't enjoying. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Um,
Yeah.
so that's what takes me out of games a lot of times, and it happens Souls games all the time, like specifically. But it has enough of those mechanics in there that it kind of takes me out of the experience some.
Okay.
But that's just a personal thing, you know what I mean? Like, I Pong, my buddy Pong is like exactly the same way,
Yeah,
like with
I
things,
know.
and
Yeah, he
like
doesn't finish games either. Yeah.
yeah, but like so example, sometimes I'll go back to a game and finally pick it because I always go back to these games and I pick it back up, right? And sometimes what happens is when I pick it back up like 2 months later, something grabs me. And then if it grabs me, then I like, oh yes, this, and this. And that happened for me with Red Dead 2.
Hmm.
And Red Dead 2 is now one of my favorite games of all time. But it didn't hook me at first, like the first one did. You know, it took me a
Yeah.
while because I had issues with the clunky controls. I had these
Yeah, and the pacing was
bounties.
really slow. Yeah.
Yeah, the pacing was off. I had bounties on me like extreme, and I didn't have any like good ways of getting out of it early on in the game and stuff. So I was like, because I accidentally would punch somebody in a bar, right when I was because the
Mhm.
controls were kind of off. So like these different situations kept happening, kept taking me out of experience and getting me frustrated. Eventually, the controls clicked, the story clicked, everything clicked, and it was like I was enamored in this like
Mm.
amazing story. And like Red Dead 2 now is like for me, has the best protagonist I've ever played, the best writing and storytelling
Yeah.
I've ever had in a game, right? Um, and so like there's certain times it'll hook you back, you know, but not every game will do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I again, like you said, not every game is for every gamer, but usually I just want to finish a game. It feels not satisfying to me to stop
Yeah.
midway through. Then I want to know the ending. And sometimes it means okay, then I just power through the story and don't do any of the side stuff or something.
Yeah.
But I usually finish it.
I think it's a personality thing,
Yeah.
like tension issues and stuff like
Yeah.
that. It's like if it's not super hooking me in, then it's like I would rather be doing something else,
Yeah.
right?
Man, it's different for everyone. So,
Yeah.
but man, we are more than 2.5 hours already into the show. And it's been an absolute blast. If you have a great conversation, time flies, man. So um, let's wrap this up. Mav, thank you so much for coming on. Uh, Again, it's been an absolute blast to have you on, as always. So let people know where they can find you and what you've coming up.
Yeah, man. We got a show tonight. Actually, this is a
Yeah.
double podcast day for me because Pong Soul and I, who we didn't have our show last week, so it's our first week back
Mm.
in 2 weeks. And actually, we had a shortened show the previous week because that was Starfield release day for
Oh.
us. So this will be our first like full actual PM in the PM in a lot in like 3 weeks. So really looking forward to uh chopping it up with Pong at 7 p.m. Eastern time on our channel. If you want to find that show, just go on to YouTube and search up Fun Speculation. We'll have a blast tonight. We also have other shows. Tomorrow night, we have Xbox Ultimate Podcast. at 10 p.m. Eastern time, where we have a larger panel and have a blast. Mondays, we have Fun Speculation podcast at 10 p.m. Eastern time, where we talk more about different platforms sometimes and other games as well. And then Tuesdays is Fun Pop, where we go into movies and TV shows and stuff. And that's also at 10 p.m. Eastern time. So
Awesome.
looking forward to it. About to check out this PlayStation State of Play here in a minute
yeah,
and see
right.
what they got
about
going on.
to start in like 18
Yes.
minutes. So
Yep.
sweet. Yeah, I will tune in as well. I don't expect anything big, but maybe some updates on Alan Wake, or they said third party, so
Yeah, it's
Who knows?
third party showcase with indie stuff and PSVR stuff also.
exactly.
So we'll see.
We shall see, indeed. And if anyone doesn't follow Mav, definitely make sure to do so. I put all his links in the description. Just click there. You will find his Twitter, the YouTube channel, and everything. But again, man, thanks for coming on. Appreciate you taking the time. And let me also shout out everyone who watched the podcast here live today with us. You guys are absolutely awesome. We appreciate you if you guys listen after the fact on the podcast services, and big shout out to everyone who supports the channel with the channel memberships, of course, and the super chats. You guys are awesome. And yeah, next week we hope to have Dutch back. We do hope, but we will definitely have a show. Because we have Ainsley from Season Gaming coming on here next week. And if Dutch, it's not really clear whether he will be able to make it or not just yet. So, but we will definitely have another podcast, and in 2 weeks he will most certainly be back. So that's the plan for this channel here. There will be another video coming early next week. And other than that, I definitely see you guys next week. And don't forget to game on.
Yep.